Right, all right, all right. It's another Saturday night. Therefore, another Saturday night shoot. Okay, my sound's coming through. I can hear it on the other side. Hold on. Yeah, so my sound's coming through. You know what I like to do? I like to come on here just before we officially start the show and let you guys know what we have in store for the show tonight. I'm pulling up my notes right now, and I'll tell you. This is episode 194. So, as you guys know, we're on the countdown to 200 episodes. I'm still hoping to hear back from some more folks about what we can do special for 200th. I'm also waiting for some of you of the drops for Shoot the Breeze so I can implement those into the show. So as soon as you guys can, please hit me up with that as well. Shout out to Jacadero who did his already. I know Jose gave me a version, but it had to be revised. So hopefully I'll get that from him soon. And you guys know who the rest of you are. So tonight's show, we're going to be discussing FAFO, fuck around and find out. We're talking about these Hispanics versus Trump. We're going to talk about KWAZ made by black people. Shouts out to the AES. We're going to talk about the crisis of the black family. By the way, when you guys post a prompt, post the actual prompt, the statement that you want us to respond to, as well as the video attachments, etc. So the crisis of the black family will be discussed. We're going to discuss the illegal slave trade in South Africa. Lastly, time permitting, we're going to try to answer the questions: should South Sudan have stood their ground and not accept a deportee? So those are the topics that we have tonight. I hope you guys like those topics. By the way, you could also join the Discord and post your Shoot the Breeze topics as well. Just click the link in the description and you can join the Discord today. So with that said, shout out to Anthony McPhail out there in the chat. Saying prayers for the family. I appreciate that, Anthony. What we're going to do now is start the show officially. And on the other side, I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce any and all of my panelists. So please stay tuned. In the meantime, hit the like button, share the show on social media. Thanks.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about black empowerment. Our show focuses on black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the revolutionary matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Anthony McPhail in the chat, who always shouts out everyone around KWAZ Radio. So in addition to those shows, make sure you tune into the Brother Bakari BBN Network. Make sure you tune into Forecast Radio. Make sure you tune into Kofi, the Black Critic. And make sure you subscribe to Consider Cheek /Realm in the Bush. Check out everyone on KWAZ Radio. By the way, if you also listen to other smaller channels that you think would mesh well with what we do around here, shoot me a DM on email so that maybe I can invite them to join the network as well. With all of that said, let me talk to my first and only panelist up tonight. That would be Jacadero. Jacadero, how are you this week?
Peace, brother. Man, I'm in a good mood. Peace and blessings to everybody. What's going on?
Thanks for coming through, man. I'm glad you're in a good mood. Right now, it's just me and you, but I'm not going to slow down the show too tough. We're going to get this thing going. I'm going to drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1. I know Anthony said he'll be here in a few. So we'll do. Actually, I spoke too soon. We got Buana joining us. Buana, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good, Koku. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks for coming through, Buana. So what I'll do is I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 now, okay. And then we'll discuss. We'll watch the video and discuss it. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 says, thoughts. They FAFO. They fucked around and they found out. This takes us to Instagram. Let's take to Instagram and make sure you guys can see my screen. I don't know. Okay, there it is. There's a lag here. I apologize. Hold on. All right. So this takes us to Instagram. We will watch and then we will comment. Let me see what's going on.
Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump.
A bit of a jam there. I ain't gonna lie, but So it says nice music, Florida Cubans 5 months ago. Oh my God, I will vote for Donald Trump. Breaking news, the Trump administration is revoking the legal status of about 500,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. So, oh my God, I will vote for Donald Trump. They fucked around, they found out. I was just seeing some of the areas they live in. I for sure saw some houses that had big Trump signs in front of it. So it's a real deal with these guys down there. Let me just read some of the comments real quick. This guy, Normando, says the worst enemy of Latino immigrant is a Latino immigrant with papers. Ouch. Someone here says, are they still singing and dancing? Just curious. Someone else says, South Florida Cubans always think they are not like, quote unquote, those black Americanos. Welcome to the club. So that's a few of the comments to this video. Let me play this jam one more time. Hold on a second.
My God, I will vote for Donald Trump. Everybody.
I will vote for Donald Trump. All right, man. With that said, man, Jacadero, what are your thoughts on this?
That's quite a song, man. I can't lie. I was even jamming to it, listening to it. They are creative. By the way, for those that don't know, Jacadero, soy africano, pero ya tú sabes, pam, param, pram, dia. But it was
all right, go on then. Show.
You like that, huh? You like that?
Yeah, show off now. Go on then. All right, go ahead.
I don't know, man. I don't have much to add. It's unfortunate because it wasn't necessary. I don't believe. Again, I'm just gonna I always try to put myself in a different shoe, and it wasn't just Donald Trump maybe that they were believing in, especially if they're Florida Cubanos and Florida Hispanics. You know, they're represented by Marco Rubio, who's the, you know, in African countries you would call him the Minister of Foreign Affairs, but he's the Secretary of State. So you have a Latino American that was also backing Donald Trump. So if your political leader was backing Donald Trump, I guess why wouldn't you? Yeah, you understand? And then, of course, Ted Cruz. Now, some people might say like, oh, well, these are gringos that have maybe Hispanic or Latino ancestry. But nonetheless, you know, people do look at them, and it's oftentimes that they're speaking at Latino political events. So I'm not going to fault them necessarily because their leadership was campaigning for Trump. So that's where I'm going to leave with that. It's just unfortunate. It's something that it gets you caught off guard. Again, you voted for it, sure. But what did you do? You went with the political agenda of who you guys, again, Marco Rubio and others, I'm sure in the Hispanic Florida community, put those individuals in those positions to lead them. And it's just that they led them astray, it looks like.
Appreciate that analysis there, Jacadero. And Afro Native World in the chat says, okay, good Spanish. Shout out to Afro Native World. Shout out to Black Steel, who's also in the chat. He said he'll be on later. He's a little busy right now. I appreciate that, Black Steel. Good to see you, by the way. With that said, let's go to Buana. Buana, let me see if you want to break out some Spanish now, too.
No, I'm not gonna troll because Jacadero was doing his thing. But needless to say, let me say this, Coco. Let me say this. I did miss your call, brother, when you was in town. Next time, I know you're gonna come in town again because you're doing some things. So I just miss your call, brother. I didn't get it, but next time, you know, I'll know that if you come in, I'll know to hook up with you. But
yeah. I sent you a message today, actually. When I go, we'll talk, but I need to figure out how to have a phone down there and stuff. So we'll talk about it.
No sweat. As far as you notice, they had the Cuban jam, but they didn't have the Haitian jam because ain't no Zouk music that I know of talking about thank you for Donald Trump. I heard it before. Maybe Jacadero might be able to know one, but this is wild. You know, somebody's trolling the Cubans very hard. And it's white Cubans predominantly probably who feel like this. I know that the black Cubans may not have the same kind of sentiment in South Florida, but this was wild, man. Someone is trolling the Cubans hard. That's really all I have to say about this one.
I appreciate that, Buana. Sorry, I was yeah, this is an interesting thing though. But let me ask y'all on a serious note. Is it the Cubans, for example, here, is it their perceived whiteness that makes them think they are part of the Klan, even though there's always these derogatory remarks about them, their country, etc.? Is that the power of their perceived whiteness? Anyone can answer that question.
I think that I think that in the Caribbean and South America, there was this level of colorism that persisted not only in English culture down here, but especially in Spanish culture. And I think that Fidel Castro was doing right or wrong. He was trying to eliminate, doing his, he was doing his best to try to eliminate that sentiment. But you had a lot of white Caucasian Cubans who fled to South Florida with those ideas and mentalities, and it still persists within that culture. But it is what it is. These kinds of racialist ideas are very, very difficult to let go of, man. I mean, and they still hold to them because in America is an extremely racialized society too. So the white Cubans are probably gonna lean towards the power dynamic that exists in America as well, because they know that'll be a leg up for them. So I think that's what's at play when you see a lot of white Cubans attach themselves to this whole, whiteness, the ideas of whiteness. They trying to get a foothold in America, and they see, in terms of the power dynamic, that they only can arrive to a certain level by playing that white man's politics in the United States, as they did in Cuba. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, just like Juana, I mean, I feel like they're gonna attach themselves to the power dynamic in the United States with the relevant topic at hand. Why would they want to lean the other way? If anything, especially if they're first generation or even sometimes second generation immigrants from these Latin American countries, man, you don't have to ask very many people. If you follow any of the passport bros on YouTube, they'll tell you, it's far and few in between that in the upper financial sides of whatever Latino cities, especially in South America, do you see Moreno? Do you see darker skinned people? You do see them, and of course, like the lower income areas. And then also you just look at the governments. The governments typically of like these countries, man, it's a certain shade spectrum, and it's not leaning the other way. It's leaning the other way. So I guess most people they go with what is their best interest, and for the current situation, yeah, they're more likely going to align themselves with white guys and white gals.
The funny thing is though, the funny thing is what happens is, see, the Cubans, they tell on themselves, in particular even the white ones, because if you used to go into a Caucasian Cuban house, what are you gonna see, Jacadero? You're gonna see some form of Santeria going on. I'm telling you, it's crazy because they do the Catholic cross, but then they have a grandparent or great grandparent who look just like me or you. They're hiding in plain sight, and it's hilarious.
What's funny, Buana, is I watched a little bit of Kai Cenat's stream when he went to Brazil. I just happened to get off work one day and I caught it this month of April. And one of the days he had just went out to, I think in the favelas, and there was a lady that had a table. It looked like she was selling things at first, but she had black statues and what do you call those, busts, and then like she had like a Michael Jackson figure and some like liquid spirit right next to it, and she was like, yo, like I can sell this to you, and he was interested until like the chat was telling him like, hey, yo, like she's trying to sell you, or she's trying to get you to practice they called it witchcraft in the chat. But yeah, I see what you're saying, Juana, is that oftentimes they believe in an ancient West African spiritual system, but if you ask them, well, then again, I guess I don't know. I'm not going to talk about stuff that I don't know. I was going to say maybe they don't know that, but then again, I don't know too many white Latinos personally.
It's Jacket, it's hilarious. They eating frijoles, they eating fried plantanos, and they telling me that, oh, we Europeans. I'm like, everything you doing is West African, but we gotta pretend, which is fine. We can pretend,
So Bwana, my question is then, is that us adding the one drop rule outside of the United States where we see somebody like, okay, for instance, for the longest time, I didn't know that, I can't think of her name, but she starred in like some TV show. Quincy Jones's daughter, both of his daughters, but one of his daughters looks nothing else but white woman. And I didn't know until for like the longest time that was Quincy Jones's daughter. So if she has a child with another white man, are we going to say like that child is a black person? Do you get what I'm saying with this?
Yes. And see, this is sometimes the problem when you get outside of the United States, because you can't measure things by that one drop rule standard. You have to look at people's culture. What are they actually practicing on a daily basis? The skin thing, for some of us, it is a relevant thing. However, there are other things that are at play. If a person has a black god, if a person eats West African food, more or less, you know what I mean? If their mannerisms, their daily mannerisms, is West African, underneath it all is West African, then what do you say to a person, even though they may have a lot of European extraction from them? It becomes very difficult to gauge. So I'm saying that yes, I don't want to place that one drop rule outside of America because it exists there, but in Spanish countries, you have other things that play well. Like Brazil, they have ridiculous. It's really ridiculous when you look at it. I also know that when I look at we have Europe, people from have European extraction in the Bahamas. We call them Conky Joes. Okay, but if you look within their bloodline, a big black woman could jump out, or a big black man could jump out, and on a daily basis, they practice in Bahamianisms, which is really African culture. So the waters become very muddy because I remember when I was in England. Jacadero, and I was hanging with one of my brothers from Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, now he is Indian. He is Indian. I mean, no, let me say it like that. He is Trinidadian, but he is from India. I don't know if you've met them before. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Like, I know Guyana is not the same as Trinidad, but I see Dr. Irfan Ali. He's an Indo-Guyanese.
Yes. So you have Guyanese like that. You have Trinidadians like that. So we went. Yes.
You're cutting out, Bwana.
Juan, are you there?
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. You have to start over.
Can you? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
Okay. So I stopped at a Trinidadian guy in the UK. So what happened is the Trinidadian guy, he was traveling with us. I was a Bahamian with a Jamaican and another Trinity guy. We went into an Indian store, right? Now, an authentic Indian store, right? Now, the Indian guy over the counter is looking at us like, why is this Indian guy hanging with you all? But in reality, the Indian guy is closer to us than he is to the Indian guy. So he doesn't know that. The Trinidadian guy speak patois, Trinidadian patois. He's act like a Trinidadian person. He knows nothing of Pakistan or India. So they're looking at each other as almost like goddamn strangers. It's a hilarious thing, man. So I don't know, man. The thing with culture is something bigger going on than the one drop rule. And I think that sometimes you just need to be careful with that when you're traveling outside of the U.S. because you can't impose U.S. standards on other kinds of people. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. I want to ask a quick. It kind of relates. It's it kind of goes off topic, but since in the Caribbean, I know that there's a significant amount of Indian descended peoples that have pretty much acclimated into the Caribbean culture. The same as in Kenya. In Western Kenya and Luo land, there's a sizable Sikh community, and then I'm sure probably a Hindu community. But nonetheless, We have Indian descended peoples that speak my father's tongue, Luo, and of course fluent Swahili. But I've never been invited. I've never been asked to witness, and I've never seen on YouTube a wedding where it was a Kenyan guy and an Indian woman. Once in a while, you'll see an Indian man and a Kenyan woman, but I've never seen the opposite. So I've always wanted to ask a Caribbean person, have you ever seen a Black Caribbean wedding where they're marrying a Indo-descended individual from wherever, Guyana and Trinidad?
That's a good question. For that question, I am not where the heavy populations of Indians are in Trinidad or Guyana, but I am sure that is existed. I've also met the children of people from that mixture, Black and Indian. I mean, I've met people, and the funny thing about it is, sometimes you wouldn't even know they have an Indian like father. You wouldn't even know because they look so Black. Yeah, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know if they tell you, well, my dad was an Indian man. You know, so it's just I've never seen an actual wedding, but I know relationships did occur or does occur within the Trinidadian space, within the Guyanese space. It's been happening all over the Caribbean, man. That's just a biological thing that exists.
So the reason why I asked that is because I'm being asked right now in the chat, like, or stated too that Indians keep to themselves in Kenya. Yeah, they do. So I say this because I have a Kenyan immigrant friend here in the Midwest, and he's been seeing this Indo-Guyanese girl, and she has stated that like her family's been in Guyana since like the 1920s, and he says like they've never married out, like they've never had, nobody in the family has ever had a relationship outside of Indo-Guyanese peoples. And so he said that when it came time after about 3 years of them having a relationship, when it came time for, to talk about like, hey, what's long term? She said like, yeah, like my mom might give you an ear, but I don't think my dad and my uncles are going to give you the time of day. And he was pretty hurt by that. And then I just asked him, I was like, well, do you practice Hindu? And he's like, no. And I was like, are you willing to convert? And he said, I don't think so. And I said, well, that's number one. Number two, does your family have a business? And then we just laughed about it. So I was just seeing it like if it's a thing, if that was a isolated event or not.
No, I think that I think that there has been a lot of mixtures within the Caribbean, because those rules that segregated a lot of people and maybe in the Americas, that rule didn't necessarily exist within the Caribbean spaces. And I'll tell you another place too, by the way. If you go to England, you would also see a lot of mixtures like that. You would see Indian women with black men with Indian women, and white women, but Indian women too. So I mean, it just depends on where you go, brother. That's what I would see.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
All right, let's welcome in our brother Anthony McPhail. But Anthony, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, Coco?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, man. Peace to the brothers on the panel too, man, and everybody in the chat. Yeah. Yes, Coco, how's the family doing, man?
So far so good. So my father was ill. He was in Princess Margaret Hospital, which is one of the worst hospitals in the hemisphere. But
okay.
I got him out to Miami, and he's rehabbing right now. So he seems to be improving. Thanks for asking.
Man, that's good, man. Okay, on the prompt. Okay, first I addressed the part about the Hispanic thing, man. In the Hispanic culture, and I know that it ain't just one Hispanic culture. I know that's a broad brush. You know what I'm saying? I know that's a broad brush, so I'm not saying like it's just one people. Because sometimes, we tend to paint the Mexican Americans, as the Hispanic people, But, you have other groups like, people from Cuba, like you say, and people from Puerto Rico, or other parts of the Caribbean or in Central and South America and everything. But one thing that I do know from studying about the Hispanic culture per se is that there's a lot of racism in it. You know, I mean, it's a lot of I want to say, okay, I reword that proximity to whiteness, like you was talking about, Coco. You know, it just like they say it's like 50 million so-called Mexican Americans who live in this country, in the United States today. And they did a poll. They said about 85% of them identified as white. You know what I'm saying? As European. And most of them I see look like Indian people. You know what I'm saying? Look like those indigenous people. You know, that's what they look like. You know, like the brown complexion. You know what I'm saying? The coarse, straight black hair. You know, whatever they cut it. But I'm saying, you know, they look like just like some Mexican Indian people. But they say 85% of the Mexican population in the United States, Mexican heritage population in the United States, identified as white. And I mean, in this most recent census. So it's definitely a proximity to whiteness. You know what I'm saying? And when you had that, you know, that old conservative Spanish oligarchical like type of culture that they come from in the different countries, you know, they translate that to here. But when you get here in this country, you know, you like, well, we call it a Negro wake-up call when you black. But I don't know what they call it in the Hispanic culture. But it's what they get now. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that, well, you know, we white or we European or we close to European, we closer than everybody, closer than black people or whatever, to Europeans. And they getting that wake-up call when you see it that this white man, this American European, he like, we don't want you here neither. You know what I'm saying? We don't give a damn about you either. We don't want you here. You know what I'm saying? We want you to go back to your country, you know, and get the hell out of our country. And I think that they're getting a wake-up call, man. And personally, I mean, you know, I don't want to see nothing bad happen to anybody. I really don't give a damn. But I'm just saying, because I mean, when you went for so long, you know, running behind white folks and kissing their ass and everything, one day they gonna show white people, Europeans will show you who they really are. They gonna show you the real love. And, you know, and people of the Hispanic culture, the Hispanic communities, whichever part of it they from, you know, and those who think they white, you know, and think they got a proximity to whiteness, and that's gonna benefit them. You know, it ain't gonna benefit you. I mean, you're gonna get your call, man, and as soon as they don't need you to do whatever, you know, for them, you're not useful to them. They gonna kick your ass. They gonna kick your ass in the river. Okay, that part, all right, about the Hispanic thing. I wanted to address what Warner was saying, about our brother Warner was saying about about what he was talking about. How you go with like in Brazil or in Cuba, or whatever, and you see these white folks, you know, and you know, there's a Santeria, you know, it's a cut double and whatever, you know, these spiritual systems that come from Africa. I mean, well, you know what? I ain't got to go there. I can go right here where I live at, here in the deep South in Louisiana. White folks will come to your church all the time. They'll come to your church. No, they'll sit down and clap hands and hoop and holler and do all the same stuff they see black folks doing. There goes your fried chicken joint. They'll eat your food. I mean, they'll listen to blues music. Go to Blues Fest. You see them all the time. Whenever you open that door and let them into the cookout, they always come. But you know what? That right there, it means absolutely nothing. Because see, we take it like, as black people, we take it like, oh, they cool. They like our culture. They accepting our culture. They in the culture. Yeah, you know, good. They don't look at it like that. They look at it like this here. Hey, yeah, I can go over there. I can listen to some Fela. So I can go eat some Jolo rice. I can go eat some chitlins. I've seen some white folks eating chitlins, man. They got a restaurant in Jordan where they try to cook chitlins. But I'm saying, well, they could get into the culture. They could do all of that. But at the end of the day, what they do, I'm still who I am, and you still who you is. You know what I'm saying? And so just because you might see us down here on the ground, you know, living next door to you and, you know, and listening to your music and embracing the culture, at the end of the day, it's still a power dynamic. You know what I'm saying? It's still a power dynamic. They know that they're in power. You know what I'm saying? This is a fad. They look at that kind of stuff. That's just like my child going through a fad. Yeah, okay, yeah. He or she up there messing with the black folks, doing all this here. And a lot of times they do shit to take over your shit because, see, you invite them in, and you know what? Tomorrow, they'll have that shit like they created it. Or they'll be the ones benefiting from it, making the money off of your culture. I mean, they do it all the time. So man, just because they in the culture, they'll come to the culture, they'll do this and that. It don't mean a damn thing, man. It don't mean a damn thing. Cause see, I mean, we look at it on that low level, like that's on the small level, but on the big level, it's still a power dynamic. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Fidel Castro did that ever since he was in Cuba. He always highlighted the Afro-Cuban culture, the Yoruba culture. I remember he did an interview. Him and Dizzy had a show back in the '90s. Had this show on Bravo where he was talking, and if Fidel actually said out of his mouth that he was African, you know what I'm saying? I know he was saying it like on not an actual African, but like a culture and all that stuff. He was saying that, but you know what? It didn't change the fact that in Cuban society under Fidel, the white power structure still stayed in power. You know what I'm saying? And though you ever seen that interbreeding, interracial mixing, and that intercultural thing, and see white Cubans at a Santeria altar or whatever, guess what also happened? At the same time, white folks still on top, black folks still on the bottom. And right now, even to this day, black people at the very bottom. You know what I'm saying? They the last hide, the first five, and got mass incarceration. All that same shit that happened to black people here and in Brazil. It's the same damn thing. So you know what, man? That don't mean only. I think not you personally. But I'm saying only we black folks. We look at it like that when we see stuff like that. No, we'll laugh. Oh, look at them. When you see a brother, sister in Nigeria, you got a white woman over there dressed up in Nigerian garb. Or in everywhere, over in Kenya, wherever in the black world, where you see them going over here, getting into our thing, and we'd be so happy and cheering. Oh, look, they love the culture. They into that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? We the only ones do that. They look at it, they like, yeah, we can get in here. We can get a foothold over here. You know what I'm saying? And one day what was yours wouldn't be yours tomorrow. That's the way we got to look at it, man, So, I mean, I ain't going to go on too long, man. I'll knock off right there.
Great commentary there, Anthony. But I want to go back. I don't know if you can see the screen, but Afro Native World asked a question while you were speaking. Are there Black Spanish-speaking people in Louisiana? What say you, Anthony?
Okay, okay. All right, let me break it down real quick. Like it's a funny thing about how the French language here in Louisiana. Okay, now it's mixed. It's French, but then it got mixed. You got a couple of those indigenous words, people's words. Then you got the West African words, and then you got Spanish in it also. Because see, it was a Spanish colony too for about 60 years. They went back and forth with each other. You had a group of people from I don't know if you're familiar. It's these islands off the coast of Africa, off the coast of West Africa, called the Canary Islands. You ever heard of them?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, the Canary Islands. Okay. The Spaniards during the colonial period, the Spaniards had brought some of those people from the Canary Islands to Louisiana, and they was in what is now it's in South Louisiana. It's a place. It's a county. We call them parishes. They call them counties. It's called Plaquemine Parish, where they had a colony. They got a culture, a thriving culture. And what happened, and they preserved the Canary Island Spanish language. And yes, you have some black people who in the area who speak it. It's old. Not a lot of people speak it. I mean, probably about, I don't even want to put a number, but the numbers are so small and insignificant, compared to the larger number. But yeah, you will see it. I mean, it's mostly French among black people. We have our own, like they speak Kourovidi, a French, a black French. But you will see it in some sections, in some areas, you will see it. So yeah, the answer is yeah, but it's real small number.
All right, appreciate that, Anthony. Anyone have any last comments on this prompt before we move on?
Yes,
you know what?
I do have a last comment. One thing I saw as far as what the Trump administration is doing, they're going to use a Cuban person. I think Marco Rubio is from Cuba. So it's interesting that they use the people to send their own brothers and sisters, like, because I wanted to ask Anthony about this. General Michael Langley is from Shreveport, Louisiana. and he is out here doing some real prostitute kind of things in Africa. And I'm like, they are using their own people to subjugate and mistreat. I'm like, how do these brothers sleep at night? It's just an amazing thing. But I really wanted to just put it out there. But I'll leave it, Coco.
All right. You know what? One more time before we go.
Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah, just had to get that in one more last time. That's kind of a jam, to be honest. Shoot the breeze topic number 2 says the only cars I care about are cars made by black people. Shouts out to the AES. The future. This prompt comes with a link that takes us to X. Make sure you guys can see it. Absolutely. Wait a minute. Hold on. Apparently I lost connection to my audio. Let me try this again. Let's try this again. Okay. So this takes us to X. And it's a tweet by Wodamaya saying electric vehicles in Burkina Faso. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. You can. I'll play the video and then we will discuss it.
And it's called I believe you all saw the news, and I'm here to let you all know that it's a real news. Yeah? I mean, if you saw the news of His Excellency's initiative to industrialize his country by trying as much as possible to assemble and manufacture EVs in the country. This was the first ever EV that was assembled in here, and it's called the Sahar, but the car brand name is called the Itawa. What is Itawa, by the way? What is the name? Is it a local language?
The name of a village.
A name of a village?
Yeah, Itawa is a name of a village here on the outskirts of Ouagadougou.
And Sahar means, what is Sahel? Sahel means what?
Yeah, Sahel is the part of Africa that is called Sahel.
Exactly, the Sahel.
So Burkina Faso, the AES countries, Burkina, Mali, and Niger, they are in the Sahel region.
Yeah.
In Africa. So that's why they chose this name for the model of the car.
Cool. But I believe that the word Sahel means something. It means something. Coast. Let me know what you think about that. If you know that, let me know. So this is the first ever EV that was created, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
And it's called the Sahel. Looks absolutely beautiful, man. Ooh. Wow. So that is the company's name. And right here is another model, which is called Tenakuru. I love the fact that they're using local names. Yeah, this is also a Sahara. You can see it. And what I really love is the logo, which is the national symbol
of Burkina Faso.
The
head of a stallion.
Stallion. That's a stallion horse, right?
Yeah.
So they very soon, I think they also have their own pickups. So it's kind of different models. Look at that. Oh, it's the same as the one that we saw. The same one. And this is another one, which is native. So it shows that you all can visit. You will be natives of this beautiful land. You know what? Can you like this video, share, subscribe, and be part of this awesome family? I'll see you all.
Cool stuff. I like to see innovation from our people. The thing that we got to get a little bit better at is letting other Black folks in other parts of the world or what have you, the diaspora, know what we're doing, what we're making. Because some years ago, I had this discussion on this podcast about who makes firearms in the black world, and as it turns out, there's a couple of African countries that do make firearms. We don't hear nothing about it, and that's the shame of it. We got to get better with our communications. We got to get better with letting folks know what's possible out there. I'm sure there might be even some Caribbean countries that would import those cars. I mean, shit, if you're importing from Japan and whatnot, you might as well import from Africa too. So, I just hope that we begin to promote and spread the word a little bit better going forward. But let me hear you guys' thoughts on it. Let me start with Anthony on this one. Anthony, what are your thoughts here?
Man, yeah, I think it's a great thing, man. I was checking that video out today too, Coco. Oh no, I seen it on IG, I think, man. That brother Wody Meyer does a great job at giving us the information. You know what I'm saying? At going around to different parts of the continent, man, and seeing, the things that our people are doing over there. But I mean, even like beyond that, this is what I like about it. Now, just think about Burkina Faso. You know the things that they say about our countries, man. All over the world, they talk about Haiti. They talk about the poverty and all of the bullshit. Haiti is one of the most beautiful countries and islands in the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful. A lot of green. It's just a beautiful place, man. And I just like when I think of Burkina Faso, I remember when Thomas Sankara came to power. In those brief few short years, what he was able to do. Think about Maurice Bishop. In those brief few short years, what he was able to do in Grenada. Now here we go. About 3 years, not even 4 years yet. A few years in, with this brother, man, President Traore and his government and all of the people around and the people of Burkina Faso. Look what they've been able to do once they done kick these old blood-sucking ass bastards, Europeans, about their country. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course they got a long way to go. But look what they're able to do now, just in a brief period. It's in a brief period what they're able to do. I mean, they manufacture doing their own cars now. You know what I'm saying? Doing their own cars. I remember a few years ago, when the brother in Ghana came over, the car in Ghana, man, was selling pretty good. The Kasenka. You know what I'm saying? And he was saying how we build these cars and adapt them to our environment. Unfortunately, we got a lot of dirt roads or bumpy roads. You know what I'm saying? So we made a car that could suit our bumpy roads. Until we get our bumpy roads fixed, we got a car that could travel on our bumpy roads. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's great, man. I mean, they're doing a lot of great things, man. That's fantastic, man. Like you said, Coco, we do. Me, I have a little time. I do look around and try to find stuff, but I know a lot of us be busy and don't have a chance to see some of this stuff. But like you said, yeah, man, we should. It should be broadcast all over the black world, man, to see what we're doing. Because once we see what we could do, because man, there's some people they think Japanese people, whatever, the only people can make a car. They think a black man can't make a damn car. You know what I'm saying? Even though we made some of the first cars. But I think it's dynamic, man. It's a great thing, man. And kudos to those brothers and sisters over there, man, to the president and his government, and and the people of Burkina Faso, man, and just the African people in general, man. I mean, man, we some smart people, man. We smart people. We industrious, all of us. We always making something out of nothing. I'll land right there, man.
Appreciate that passion there, Brother Anthony. I'm wondering, is the stream still on YouTube? Dipped in terms of people who are watching the program. So if you're out there and you can hear my voice, please drop a 1. I'd like to know that we're actually talking to some folks out here tonight. With that said, let me hear from Buana on this one. Buana, what's it? I think Buana's on a delay or something.
The development. I like the development. Let me just go back and comment. Let me go back and comment.
All right, Jacadero. The only cars I care about are cars made by black people. Shouts out to the AES, the future. What are your thoughts on it?
Burkina Faso and the rest of the AES, Mali, and Niger, every month, every single month, they're ending up on my timeline doing awesome things. And it's great. Let me say that. It's great. What pisses me the hell off is that this is stuff that Kenya should have been doing a long time ago. Like, I have no idea on why Kenya doesn't have its own production car. I don't know why Kenya hasn't been in talks for a nuclear power plant. Like, Burkina Faso had a president assassinated, and we're roughly 30 plus years from that. And they're already in talks to create its own power plant. They're going to have nuclear power before Kenya even thinks about having nuclear power. What the F? I'm going to try to keep it PG on this show, but every single month, accomplishments are made by, you could ask like the average Kenyan in Nairobi, and they wouldn't think much about the Sahel countries. Oh, it's dusty there. Oh, do they have electricity there? Well, they're about to have nuclear power. They're about to power the whole West Africa if they want to. Oh, do they, like, is it safe there? It's safe enough to produce vehicles. Man, shout out to the AES and especially shout out to those brothers around the Ibrahim Traores, the Assimi Guetas, the Abdul Rahman Tashiani, the brothers that are around them. Big shout out to them, because easily they could have taken the bait up until now, because I'm sure they're getting offered. I'm sure. I wouldn't. Come on. We just seen Michael Langley from the United States. I don't know if it's an official report, but the rumblings that like he's trying to frame Ibrahim Traore as a grifter, or not a grifter, but somebody that would embezzle the government's natural resources for his own personal interest. But nonetheless, like, the brothers around these three guys that are running these three countries have stood in solidarity and said, nah, whatever you guys are offering us is not worth it. It's not worth it. Every week I'm seeing constant news articles or tweets about a trader that they've caught or that has ran away because, time is ticking. You're going to be caught red-handed. Like, man, it's so awesome. I wish that Kenyans across the military and political sphere take note, man. Take note. Don't sell out. Please don't sell out. We've had way too much rumblings of yesteryear of us selling out, but big shout out. I hate to make it about my parents' country, but nonetheless, it's awesome. It just makes me frustrated because Kenya should have been doing this years ago, just sitting on their ass.
That's that famed Luo. That's that famed. What's the word I'm trying to find? That famed Luo. I can't think of the word now. Anyway, thanks for that, Jack. Yeah, go ahead, one.
Yeah, I share the same sentiments as Jacadero. When I look at Burkina Faso, I look at it in frustration as well, because I ask the same kinds of questions. Why isn't my government making the same kinds of strides? It's like, year after year, these guys are going to nuclear energy, and our lights still getting cut off in the summers, for load sharing.
Isn't that frustrating? Isn't this frustrating? Isn't that frustrating to you?
Oh man, I look at it and they shake my head. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? But I can't be mad at the Burkina Faso. I can't be mad. They demanded it. They went through a rough patch where their leader getting murdered. They learned from that experience and they choosing a different kind of path. choosing to have different kinds of relationships with different other people in the world. And this has been phenomenal. I can't be jealous of them. I can't be angry at them. I say bravo. I just wish. And you know what? Well, maybe I've been tasked the fact that I'm here to make it happen, to help foster and create a situation where we could create that as well in developing different kinds of relationships. Maybe that's why I'm in the country, But I match your level of frustration, Jacadero, and seeing these kinds of things. And shout out to Burkina Faso. Shout out to Ghana with the Tanaka. I can't remember the name of the car. Shout out to the Nigerians. I think they have 2 different car factories. I mean, Africa is moving. And I would hate to know that we in the Western world stand still and get left behind, because they are moving. They are moving in bounds and leaps, man. But I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that, Buana. If you do change something in the country, in the home country, start with Princess Margaret Hospital for me, please. But my God. I see we got Cheryl in the chat. She said Kantanka. Trigger Happy also said Kantanka. I think that's the name of the car company. Trigger Happy earlier said lately the support for AES from the diaspora keeps becoming stronger and stronger. And I saw that too, Trigger, and I appreciate that. It's been nice to see people saying, listen, we ain't gonna let y'all come in and take out Traore and them like you did African leaders in the past. And I like that people are knowing the history, people are seeing the play. And I had asked this question on the community tab: what can we do to help? And I'll put it out here again. What can we do to really help what's going on there? Because that brother Traore in particular needs to be protected. I saw something today saying that the people of his country are sleeping on the roundabouts and stuff, on the roads, to make sure no one gets past to go and harm him. I really appreciate that. And so I think we out here need to find a way to add to what's going on there in terms of protecting them and encouraging them to keep doing the work that they're doing. And we definitely, I know I will try to, we definitely got to spread the news of what's happening in that country. I also saw today where Traore already built almost the same amount of roads, miles of roads that they had in the last 2 years. They're getting close to building new roads in the same, totaling the same amount as before. So I think all that is wonderful stuff, but we got to get that news out there to inspire others. We got to get this news to the leaders of the Caribbean too, of these different Caribbean countries. They need to be looking into how to upgrade these countries too, the infrastructure and whatnot. So good stuff. Is there any last thoughts on this prompt? I see Daily Affirmations by Pauline is out there. I saw her this week as well. Thank you for all your help when I saw you. And thanks for being here tonight as well. Same thing with Coach Pete. Same thing with Joe. Thank all of you for helping me out this week. Moving on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. Shoot the Breeze topic number 3 says, the crisis of the Black family. Crisis of the Black family. This is going to take us to Instagram. And it's going to take us to this video here. I'm going to play it a couple times because, you don't know how to start these things over. So I'm going to play it a couple times so we get the gist of what's going on.
63% of our brothers will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American Black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora. So there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number three, and there's a reason for it. So, who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians, $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%. Two are working. Who's number two? Chinese Asians. Household median income, $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number three are white people. Household median income, $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number four are Hispanics. Household median income, $61,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income, $55,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%. And projected based on facts and statistics that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. We must, this is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it.
I'm going to play that again. Joe says, you're welcome. Daily Affirmation by Pauline says, anytime. Yeah, it was great to reconnect with you all down there in Miami. I want to play this again one more time so we get it from the start. But I think you guys probably got the gist already, but one more time I'll play it.
71% of our sisters are not married. 29% will never get married. 63% of our brothers are not married. 30% of them will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American Black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora. So there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number three, and there's a reason for it. So, who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians, $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%. Two are working. Who's number two? Chinese Asians. Household median income, $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number three are white people. Household median income, $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number four are Hispanics. Household median income, $61,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income, $55,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%. And projected based on facts and statistics that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. This is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it.
Wow.
71% of us.
So I'm listening to this, and it reminds me of a conversation I had with some folks, a group of men and women, and I was trying to show them that what's not being said here is that America sacrificed the family a long time ago. They sacrificed the family for the economy. I've touched on this before on Shoot the Breeze. These guys came to a realization some time back that was if the man is the sole provider and protector of the home, you're not selling to everyone. You're only selling to half the population. So these guys devised, in fact, all that stuff like feminism and all that was in preparation to open up the economy. They were going to push women to go to work, even though they knew at the time that will destroy the homes, the families. But they said, fuck it, because they have too many KFCs, Popeyes, Macy's, this thing and the other thing out here that they need people actively walking into buying and whatnot. And that's the underlying issue here. The problem is for Black folks in America or Africans in America, in large part, they go along with the program, not recognizing that the program is just not good for their system. It's not good for them. But these other groups, like the Indians and the Chinese, Asians that he mentioned and stuff, they keep their wits about them for the most part. For the most part, right? And so this is why they still would have higher marriage rates, this, that, and the other. But we kind of fall in with the nonsense. And that's what's happening to our detriment. And like he said in the video, even these white folks are feeling the pinch of this stuff now. You open up this economy, you probably thought that your folks would have been immune to it. No, they're just as susceptible as everyone else, right? And so now you're seeing that marriage is like almost done with in the States. And that's an interesting thing. You got to keep your wits about you. You got to keep your wits about you. And that's the thing that didn't happen. But I'm ranting, so let me throw it to my panelists. But first, let me read a couple of comments. Trigger Happy says, the family is the smallest unit of a community. If you can't organize the family, there will always be problems. KW Don 7 says, between the 50-50 and the gender wars thing, don't look good for the Black family in America. He goes on to say, this is Milton Freeman's neo-liberalism. So thanks for those comments, everyone. Like I said, Shoot the Breeze top number 3 is the crisis of the Black family. I gave my idea as to why that is. Let me hear what the panelists have to say. Let me start with Jacadero on this one. Jacadero, what say you?
Before I get serious, I've never seen this guy before. He looks like when Dave Chappelle would do a skit of like a white TV anchor. That's who he looked like. So. For the longest time, I was confused on who was talking, but nonetheless, yeah, the crisis of the Black family, especially like he says, it's not in the continent, it's not anywhere else. It's in America. It's in America because, like you pointed out, Koku, the whole reason why in the pandemic there was a red pill movement is because getting married in America is tough, man. It's tough. You know, you got a lot of things going on. You got men not making as much as they would like to. I don't know if that's all across the board, but there's definitely reports about that. You have women that are frustrated because they feel like maybe the men aren't stepping up, and this is all across the board, all across race societies, and then man, the cost of living, like they say that for most of the states that have the metropolitan cities, they say that to raise a family of two, the combined household income needs to be above, are you ready for this? Above 200K, above, to raise a comfortable family of two. So sure, is there a crisis of a Black family? I think there's just a crisis of an American family. And with Black people, representing, a medium income of among the lowest, this is what's going to happen. But is there hope? Absolutely. I'm a pretty good optimist. And what the hope is that, man, and this, again, this might be a dream of mine, but I feel like it is possible. When you have individuals that are put into positions of power, you can create free trade agreements, and then putting resources in the hood and connecting those with Africa. For instance, with Detroit, Detroit has the Detroit River that connects Detroit to Canada directly. You can have ships coming in that deliver goods from Senegal, Burkina Faso, Mali, Sierra Leone, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just one way. Another way is that every year, and this is me having my boots on the ground and seeing this firsthand. I graduated with an electrical degree. So my job right away was out in the field working as an electrician. There were a couple sites where every electrician on that field, including our supervisor, was a Black person. Believe it or not, it was a Black person. So I do think that things are getting up, because we're going back to those days where we're learning on how to be self-sufficient. I digress.
Appreciate that, Jack and Daryl. Let me hear from Juan on this next.
Yeah. I think I disagree with the gentleman. I think that his arguments are too minimalistic. I think that, for me, this is sounding like an ADOS FBA cut the check argument. And the reason why I say that is, he says that wealth is fixed. Wealth will solve he is implying that wealth will solve the existential crisis within the Black family. And I'm asking myself, this sounds like a reparation argument. And it sounds like a cut the check argument, where if you cut the check, this will resolve all the issues within our communities, respectively. Cut us a monetary economic check, and this will be the resolution to the problems we have currently that exist within our society, families, communities. And I'm saying that it's too simplistic, it's too short-sighted. The matron, the great Sister Matron, she is currently reading a book called The American Slave Coast. And in that book, she talks about how families were created, actually were created in the South, with the sex farms and all these other kinds of the horrible things that existed. And I'm asking, does paying me a check resolve the psychological damage that would have occurred, that continues to reverberate within our communities? Does that solve that existential crisis and issue that currently exists, that we facing right now? It is a thing that we was doing way back when. Back in the day, what you call it? They had the stud, where you had a man procreating and having children all over the place, not having a responsibility to take care of any of his children. Well, you see these current things in today's society right now. You see the proliferation of these same kinds of ideas. Will a check resolve that? Will you give a single mother a check at the end of the day, and that's going to resolve a situation in terms of familyship, in terms of community? I don't think so. So I think that there is a greater thing at play. Comparison to compare East Indians, who have their language, culture, God, all these other things. And I ain't trying to break up a no excuse. And you compare the Chinese, who brings along with all the things they left from China, they bring with them from China into the Americas. Now you have blacks within America and coming to America. There's other things at play. And if you don't address these things, putting money on it or saying, well, I do, is a band-aid solution, because there are other things at play that not only the black community must deal with, but the greater society in America, which they choose to continue to ignore, they have to deal with that as well. There are other things at play, and just throwing money at a problem, it's not gonna help. It's not gonna, well, I'm gonna say it's not gonna help. It'll help, but the problem will still persist. It'll still persist. And I have a question for this man, because he would tell me grandma and granddad in Mississippi or the Delta or Alabama had a relationship and they lived together with a big family with 10 children, and they lived together until they was dead. Well, they had no money. They had no money. And for what they had, they were still able to form deeper bonds, and more respectful bonds. And he would probably tout about how great their relationships was, and they came out of that experience. But now he's putting money and saying, well, unless you have this wealth thing, it's not going to resolve the existential crisis that existed. I don't particularly agree with it. I think, let me know if I agree with it. I think that his arguments are too minimal. I think that there is greater things at play that he has to address than to just say, if you say I do and make 100 and 200 or $100,000 a year like everyone else, this will resolve the existential crisis that exists in a black family. I think that's too short-sighted for me, you know. But I'll leave it there, Coco.
No, but I think you hit on a couple of important points. I didn't think of the cut the check type of angle to this, so I appreciate that from you. I do agree, and it's kind of what I was trying to say in a sense. The capitalism is at play. The capitalism is at play, and that's destroying families. The thing that needs to be really looked at, as far as our people go, and you touched on it, and I said it earlier, is you got to get back to yourself too. Those folks who was living on the Delta back in the day, who didn't have two nickels to rub together, they had something about them. They had something within them, something cultural. I would imagine that we're gonna stick together. We're poor, but we're gonna stick together. The father or the patriarch in that scenario, they managed to live off of whatever he could provide. But now when you open up the society, and I know people are going to say I'm picking on women. I'm not picking on women, but I'm saying when women bit the carrot to leave the homes and to seek out employment and to compete financially with the men and all that kind of stuff, that this is when these problems start to arise. And that's, like you said, Buana, I think Buana dropped off for a second, but that's what needs to be fixed. Even before you talk about cutting a check and all this kind of stuff, we got to get back to fixing the way we interact with each other, and that we interact with each other by any means necessary till death do us part, if you will, right? That's what we lost. We lost that. We lost that now. I could remember, just quickly before I go to Anthony, I could remember in the 90s, I graduated high school in 93. I could remember in the 90s, gals my age was saying things like, I don't need no man. Like, ma'am, you're 16, 17 years old. What are you talking about? But if you have that mentality at 16, 17, what mentality are you going to have by 27? When it's time to be looking to get married and get under some rules and stuff like that, what are you going to be? So we do have to fix the problem between us. We have to fix our understandings. But that capitalism thing is the thing that's causing that rift, so to speak, on top of the fact that we don't have this understanding between one another. With that said, Anthony, the crisis of the black family. What say you to everything you've heard?
Oh, hey, this is a good one right here, man. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna say this here. Hey, all three of y'all had good points. Now, when I first, in the first place, let me say this. When I first, who is that guy, Coco? I thought he kind of looked like Edwin Scobie or somebody. I can't tell who is he. Ooh, I thought it was Edwin Scobie or somebody. I couldn't tell who this fool was.
I think it's George Fred. Dr. George Fred, I think.
Okay, but okay, what I'm gonna say? Okay, I'm gonna say this first. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give some props to Buana, man. I usually don't, cause I agree with him on. I don't agree with everything he said. I don't agree with a lot of what he was saying. Like I said, you have to provide context, and he didn't provide enough context. And when he started off saying that just black people in America, I said the same thing. Man, this is reparation shit, man. You know what I'm saying? This some of that FBA reparation thing. That's the first thing I thought of when he said that. I mean, because like I said, and he obviously he's an elder, he's an older man. So I mean, I'm not gonna disrespect him, but I don't think he did enough studying, you know, at least outside of black people in America, outside of our people here, you know, because when we talk about the crisis in the black family, we got to look at one thing. Okay, the black family. Okay, I'm trying to put it the right way. Okay, you talk about a family, the black family in America under stress. Okay, dealing with everything that we had to deal with, and it's just like if I could take this outside of America, I could go to the black family in Haiti under stress. You know what I'm saying? I could go to the black family in Brazil under stress. You know what I'm saying? Because they go through some of the same shit. They got police violence against them, got racial discrimination, you know, unfair economic system. You know what I'm saying? And then you could go to, and that's one thing he said that he was wrong about, somebody that doesn't exist in Africa. It does exist in Africa. It exists especially in the places where the stress level is high. Well, you know, you go to Liberia. I was just doing some studies. We were talking about it, man. This sister, this Liberian sister, her name is Cal Fombele. You know, she was doing some talk on it, on Focus on Liberia. But anyway, like Liberia, Sierra Leone, in any of in the Congo DRC, you know, and in other places. And I got one for Jacadero in a minute. But I'm just saying, it's when you under this extreme kind of stress and trauma, you know what I'm saying? This kind of stuff affects the family life. It affects the family life. But like, but get back to it. Coco, you said something when you talk about the capitalism, about the economic thing, and I think you mentioned about the feminism. Okay, and trust me, brother, I know you ain't attacking women. I know that. I know you're not. I know that ain't you. But what I'm saying is this right here. Let's say, okay, let's factor in the feminism thing. I say the feminism going wrong. Because I like say in the 60s, I think, you know, the American government and, you know, with their little agents like what's that white woman name who was going around kicking feminism to black women? You know what I'm talking about?
Steinem, right?
Yeah, Stein. Yeah, her. You know, okay. I think that what happened, it wouldn't have been a problem, Coco, for our sisters to get in the marketplace, to get in the job market or whatever, as long as like it was the family stayed intact. Okay, you know, my husband, no, okay, he working, I'm working. We trying to build something. You know, we trying to get out of our situation. With them getting in the marketplace, you know, because in today's economy, it takes two. You know what I'm saying? If you want to have anything close to the life that you want to have, you know what I'm saying, economically rather, you know what I'm saying, anything close to it. I think it wouldn't have been a problem with sisters getting into the job market and making money, and you know, and putting the money together with the brothers, with her husband, with us working together. The problem was that the American power structure, the white American power structure was pushing that divide and conquer thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it was necessarily the capitalism, the economic system. I mean, it play a role. I don't think that's what will help break down our family. I think it was the divide and conquer bullshit, that militant white feminism, because you know feminism is the female arm of white nationalism, of the white power structure. I think what it was that a lot of our sisters bought into that bullshit. They bought into that, as you said, in how you heard sisters in the early 90s say, I don't need no man. You know, I could do it for myself. Remember Aretha Franklin had a song called Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. You know what I'm saying? With this type of bullshit, it was that kind of mentality that came from that, I think, that helped, that contributed to a lot of the stuff we see today. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had these white folks say, we're going to exploit this shit. Because you got to remember, in the 60s, black people, we were in the 60s, early 70s, we were more together than we ever had been. You know what I'm saying? Pan-Africanism, no world black unity, which were goals that we said, man, this shit might happen. You know what I'm saying? This shit might happen with brothers, Caribbean brothers like Stokely Carmichael, you know what I'm saying? And Maurice Bishop and Walter Rodney, along with brothers from all over the black world, you know what I'm saying? And sisters from all over the black world. I mean, we had a thing that we'd have lost. You know what Dr. Bobby Wright used to say when he said, people always talking about the 60s, you know, and how great it was in the 60s. And here we are in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? They still talking about the 60s. Like I'm doing now, you know, because we were so together. In America, seeing that shit, and they said, we got to do something about that shit. And that's what they brought in, that white woman's feminism. You know what I'm saying? That white woman's feminism. And that's what they use to help bring a rift between black men and black women here in this country. You know what I'm saying? And that's that contributed to a lot of what we see today. You know, like you said, with I could do it for myself. I don't need no man. But me, I think that in recent years, I think in the last 5 years, I mean, I've been seeing a comeback of black marriages. It's been a comeback of black marriages. More and more black people are getting married. Black men and women are getting married. And I see it on an upswing right now. You know, I mean, I don't see it as so bleak. Like you said, even I do agree with him. He said it could be fixed. And it definitely could be fixed. And I think that we're making some strides now. Do we have a long way to go? Yeah, we got a long way to go. But we got a long way to go for everything, though. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, we behind about 150 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they had 150 years jump on us. We talk about a wealth gap. How the hell 45, 50 million Africans gonna close a wealth gap against 180, 170 million Europeans? You know what I'm saying? And we got a 150 year jump on us. You know what I'm saying? So we don't need to be worried about closing no gap with them. We just need to be worried about getting ourselves together and doing for our own people, you know, and getting what we need to get. But yeah, man, I don't know, respect to that man, but I don't really agree with too much of that. To what I said, I'm gonna knock off, but I just wanted to, I wanted to mention this to our brother Jacadero though. I was looking at this. I had this video, man, that I seen on YouTube, and it was probably about a 40-minute thing, man. You know, it's going to what this brother was saying, where you don't see this kind of stuff in Africa, in which we know that's not true. You see it in South Africa. You see it in different parts of Africa. But what I'm saying, okay, it was in Kenya. In Kenya, it's this community. I tripped out when I say, I was like, man, it's this community. Well, I don't know. I think it may be a Maasai community. If I'm not mistaken, it may be a Maasai community.
I think I know exactly what Dr.
But check it out. Yeah, but check it out. It's these Maasai sisters. They got a whole village, a community. It is called the Village Without Men. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they got a village, and what they sell, their beautiful Maasai art, necklaces and stuff like all that beautiful art that they sell. And now they let the men come on the weekend to come and visit to see the children. But the village is like a village without men. And like the Kenyan government, they was kind of like, it was a lot of studies. People was talking about it because they ain't like it. But I'm saying, but those women said, no, y'all done messed up too bad. We don't want you over there no more. Carry your ass back over there. You know what I'm saying? So you can come see the children, but you got to get the hell out of there after you see the children. I'd knock off right there, man.
But by the way, it was the Samburu peoples, not Maasai peoples. But yes, it's a Samburu village. I mean, it's gonna sound like I'm defending it, and maybe I am, but that area of Kenya, there's constant cattle rustling, and so if you watch that documentary, the women are frustrated because the cattle rustling just leads to more men dying, and it just leaves like a big age gap. Like it's typical that the elderly are outnumbered by the young people because the middle-aged men don't live too long because they often have to retaliate for cattle rustling. And so the women at some point in that specific village, they got tired because they said that there's going to come to a point where a man is going to have 4 wives in order for us to continue to progress. But again, I might be just defending it, but just to add context to that documentary.
Good stuff, gentlemen. Good stuff. I liked, Anthony. I like what you had to say. In fact, I like what everyone on the panel had to say. Anthony, I'll ask you this question though, since you focus on it a little bit more. How do we get that militant, that female arm of white national, what they call feminism? How do we get that out of, in your opinion? How should we go about getting that out of our women's thoughts these days? And by the way, shout out to Forecast who's out there in the chat as well.
Okay. How do we get rid of it? How do we deal with that white women's feminism in our sisters' mind? Okay, I think that I think we're seeing more and more sisters these days who are like who evolve, who getting away from that. You know what I'm saying? It went through stages. First, it was excuse me. It was white soul sister. You know what I'm saying? You my white soul sister. And then it went past that, and you went to this thing where you had and man, to say what you want to say about these certain people. I have plenty of problems with people like Bell Hooks. You know what I'm saying? But they started evolving into what they call black womanism. You know what I'm saying? Which was, I mean, it was somewhat different, but it was, and I can respect. I mean, that's something touchy we can get into. But now it's evolved. I think it's coming back. Things go around in a circle sometimes, and I think that now that you have, a lot of these sisters who read the works of a Dr. Marimba Ani, you know what I'm saying, who read the works of a Dr. Patricia Newton, who read the work of this sister right now. A sister right now, Coco, I'm gonna send you this video of this sister, and she is a black woman. She hate the word feminist, but I'm saying, but she's an African center sister. She's married to this brother named Mario Beatty. I know y'all heard of him. Her name is Valencia Watkins. Her name is Valencia Watkins, and she goes in on that white woman's feminism shit, real deep. She goes in on that shit and debunk that shit and tell you how that ain't our shit. You know what I'm saying? But her name is Valencia Watkins. After the program, I'm gonna send you a video of a lecture that she was doing. And that's the kind of stuff that we need to hear from our sisters. And what happened? And our sisters need to hear her voice. We need to get away from these ones that we hear making these Angela Rise and and all of these old ones that you see on TV. Talking this old yanking head. You don't really know what side they on. They might say one or two black things, but you really don't know where they from. But I think that's the main thing. Sisters got to hear the voices of these type of sisters, of a Valencia Watkins. You know what I'm saying? And sisters like her. They got to get turned on to the works of a Dr. Marimba Ani. They got to read Urugu. They got to read Let the Circle Be Unbroken. When she covers all of that stuff, in her works. Too many times the only voice that they hear, is this old Oprah Winfrey type shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the main thing. That's how we do it. We gotta put the work out, man. We gotta first of all, we gotta get with some sisters. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get with the matron. You know what I'm saying? The matron's voice need to be heard. You know what I'm saying? That's a bad woman right there. But yeah, man, I'm not all right there. We just got to get the word out. We got to work in conjunction with our sisters, man.
Good stuff, Anthony. Real good stuff. Shout out to the matron as well. I didn't see her in the chat earlier, but shout out to the matron for all that she does. Shout out to Cheryl as well, who I did see in the chat earlier. And shout out to Provide Triggers for Evolution, who actually put this prompt up tonight. So shout out for that. Once again, if you want to hear a topic discussed on the panel, join the Discord, navigate to the Shoot the Breeze channel, and you could post your prompt as well as the attachments to go along with the prompt there as well. So please do so. More women are encouraged to do it too. But gentlemen, keep it coming. With that said, let me just make sure. Does anyone have any last thoughts for this prompt here? I see Buana's mic is open. Does he have a last thought or no? All right. So what we'll do now is I'll go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 4. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 comes with several attachments. One of them doesn't work. This is a message to trigger. The first attachment doesn't work anymore. It seems like they deleted the tweet. So I'll just use the second to the next two attachments. Hopefully that gets the point across. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 says, the illegal slave trade in South Africa. The diaspora should claim all of Africa, not just West and Central Africa. Let me bring Buana back real quick. So this prompt comes with 2 links, as I mentioned. The first one is going to take us to Camjaverse. Camjaverse has been on our platform here before, so shout out to Camjaverse. This tweet from him says, the Cape of Good Hope, in particular, and South African populations in general, were involved in the illegal slave trade. Many were trafficked to Mozambique and the Swahili coast before being shipped to the Americas. So this comes with some images. I'll put them up. So there's an image that says Cape Town slave ship secret. The next thing is a excerpt says, historical records do not shed as much light on the political structures of South Africa as they do on Congo and Angola, but it is clear that in the South, as in Central Africa, regional kingdoms dominated political affairs. Kingdoms had begun to emerge as early as the 11th century, largely under the influence of trade. Merchants from the Swahili city-states of coastal East Africa sought gold, ivory, and slaves from the interior regions of South Africa. Jacadero has some explaining to do. By controlling local commerce, chieftains increased their wealth, enhanced their power, and extended their authority. By 1300, rulers of one such kingdom had built a massive stone-fortified city known as Great Zimbabwe, near the city of Nyanda in modern Zimbabwe, and they dominated the gold-bearing plain between the Zambezi and the Limpopo rivers until the late 15th century. This goes to another image that shows you the illegal slave trade to the United States, 1808 to 1860. So we see America on the left. We see the slave smuggling routes coming out of the right. We can see the regions in red, I guess, where the slave smuggling routes came from, both on the west and in Central Africa and on the east and Madagascar. And you can see where they went into different parts of America here, Galveston, Texas, New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, and the Amelia Islands of Florida. So that's that one tweet from Camjaverse. There's no comments on it. The next attachment is from Sango's Wrath. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. Sango's Wrath quotes here, "This is a story of South Africa that I never knew existed. Apparently, neither did some South Africans." So we'll watch, this is Wodemaya again, we'll watch Wodemaya break this down, and we'll discuss it after.
This is really shocking, man. How many of you actually knew that slavery happened in South Africa? Like, I have no idea. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Like, I mean, that's why I travel, just to educate myself, learn something new, and use this platform to educate you. Where I am right now is actually called a slave house, or sorry, a slave lodge. And this is where slaves were kept. Slaves that came all the way from, I think 51% of them came from Africa, from Madagascar, different part of Africa, and also Angola, Mozambique, and also we got like, I think 21% from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, to be precise, 1% from Malaysia, and they were all kept, 4,000 of them. It's more like going to the Elmina Castle or Cape Coast Castle in Ghana. Can you believe it? Goodness, like, look at that. I have no idea. You know, that's why I just want to travel all the time to educate myself, man. This is crazy. So this would be equivalent to what we have in Ghana, like a Cape Coast Castle. Wow. So I don't know if you guys can see this. It's like they've been snatched away from their family and friends and their familiar environment and became the property of the strangers. They were purchased and transported and treated as commodities. Can you guys believe it? Like, this is the story of South Africa that I never knew it existed. Look at that. Did you know? Can you let me know in the comment section? Did you know? This is Cape Town. Wow. So just like we have maroons in the Caribbean, this place, they call them, there's a name for them. I'll look for it and let you know. But ran away. Yeah, since the 17th, found a slave boy named Luis from Mozambique. He speaks Dutch and French. Whoever will bring him to the underlined or prison shall be. Oh, okay. So this is like a young boy that flew or left the slave lodge, and they were looking for him. So anyone who brings him will be rewarded. This is crazy, man. Just like what happened in the Caribbean. Their language, their religion, the attitude of the slaves and the colonials meshed and changed into reciprocal cultural exchange. Wow. This is the origin and arrival. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see it? I have no idea. This is literally my first time, and I'm blown away. I feel like the slave history of South Africa is silenced, man. For real, look at that. The slave voyage. That's how they came to South Africa. They were packed like this, like going to the Caribbean. Wow. This is crazy. This is crazy. I think I need a tour guide because I really want to learn more. Really want to educate myself, like, for real. 51% slaves were from Africa, 20% from India, 20% from Southeast Asia, 1% from Malaysia. The question is, did you know?
Interesting stuff for real. I noticed that this was, if I'm not mistaken, this was a response to something else. Let me see what the other thing was. So this person was responding to this, I guess. So it says, Black people were not allowed to attend any Mardi Gras. Created their own in 1909, the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club. They were also the first to integrate in 1959. Today, it's the largest Black American organization of its kind in New Orleans. Oh, I think I know how this came about. So this person responded, "What the F is this? First of all, there was no slave trade in South Africa. So why the hell is our tribe involved in this bullshit?" So that gives us a little context for all of this for the prompt. So I saw something recently. I didn't pay too much mind because it was tied up in a lot of that FBA ADOS type stuff. But there was a parade. Maybe Anthony might be familiar. There was a parade down in New Orleans that featured the Zulu. And folks were like, what the hell does the Zulu have to do with New Orleans? And then some people came, from what I saw, some people came and was trying to break down that there's a tradition there with Zulu, etc. So I guess this is all a little bit tied up into that, if I had to guess. I mean, Trigger Happy, you let me know if that sounds correct to you. So it's an interesting thing here. So when the idea behind this prompt, like Trigger said earlier, is essentially the idea of when you see Black folks in the diaspora claim that certain Black people, certain people groups of Africans are not their people. For example, you hear, even myself, you hear me say, well, I'm descended from West Africans, etc., right? But the point is that there was so many migrations. People was picked up from so many different places and transported to this so-called New World that you really can't say you're just West African. You have to really claim to be from all of Africa. And that's just the reality of it. And that's something we got to start thinking about a little bit more when we designate ourselves instead of limiting ourselves. Because what will happen then is, okay, I'm West African descended, so I'm different from Jacadero. No, Jacadero and I are two African folks, two equally African folks. There's no differentiation, and I think that's important to. I think that's really important in our journey here, back to a place of being African. You know. With that said, let me hear from Anthony first, and because maybe Anthony heard about the whole Zulu parade thing. So Anthony, what say you?
Okay, all right. Hey, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, Koku. All right, I'm gonna address the Zulu thing first. Okay, the Zulu parade in New Orleans is like I'm gonna tell you how it originally. Koku, you know how something could start off originally as something like as a tribute to a people to something, but yes, over time, it's like, okay, right now I did a post on this too. All right, this is my opinion. Personally, I think the Zulu parade, they need to stop with that bullshit. I mean, with the blackface shit, they need to stop with that shit. If you're gonna do a parade about these African people, you need to learn something about them and learn the culture and the history. That's one thing. Let me say that. I did a post criticizing the shit. It's outdated and it needs to go somewhere. Like I said, it's a thing, and it's not a Louisiana thing, Black Louisiana thing. It's a New Orleans thing. They only do that in New Orleans. But like I said, it originally started off as a tribute to the great Zulu people, like especially like the Zulu people had defeated the British, and they were known as these fierce warriors. You know what I'm saying? That was the reputation of the Zulu people. Now you got to think of some enslaved Africans, or just recently freed Africans. We thinking like in our mind, we slaves or whatever. We don't know about our greatness, and here we go. You're reading about these great African warriors. These people who our ancestors were, maybe not our direct ancestors, but our ancestors, our people. And so it was a tribute to them. That's what it was. Right now, as it stands, that it's some bullshit. You run around putting on blackface, it's some bullshit. It leads. I want to throw this in right here. Okay, like I said, it's not really meant to denigrate the Zulu people. It's not really meant to that, but I think sometimes people are ignorant and don't know what they're doing. Sometimes, like I said, the whole blackface shit come from out the early 1900s, late 1890s. Okay, I wish Jose Bronze was here right now. Because see, I know that he know about the culture in Cabo Verde. It's a parade. It's a festival, an annual festival thing that they have in Cabo Verde every year, and it has something to do with the I don't know, was it the emancipation of the enslaved Africans or whatever? But it's a parade that a festival where they have, because the people in Cabo Verde, which these are Africans and with a lot of Portuguese admixture. You know what I'm saying? You got some people darker, some people lighter. They're like a mixed race people in Cabo Verde. But I'm saying this parade where everybody dressed in blackface. They put black body paint all over them. I don't know if you ever seen that, Coco. They put black body paint all over them. I think they also have a festival. Yeah, they have a festival somewhere in the Caribbean where they do the same thing. As a tribute to the old Africans, where they dress in a lot of, I think it's called Devil's Night or something like that. Some kind of thing. Okay. But anyway, like I'm saying, in those things, like I'm saying, I'm relating the Zulu things to those things. They weren't necessarily to denigrate. But, I guess, you got people like, Cabo Verde say, well, we Africans, but, we some, mixed race people, it's like a tribute to, they looked at our African ancestors as the real Africans, as the pure Africans, black. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of what it was right there. Okay. Okay, that's it right there on that part. I want to get to the slave part in South Africa. Okay. I had a debate with a sister from South Africa. Well, her parents were from South Africa. She was born in Zambia. Sister right now, she be on Facebook and I hadn't seen her in a while. She had a nice clothing line, man. I bought some shirts from her. Named Bantu Queen. Blackbird. Bantu Queen. But anyway, I was saying that the thing about slavery came up. And she was basically like, well, that's a West African thing. I say, no, that's a South African thing too. And she was like, no, we didn't have it here like that. It was because we fought them. We Bantus, we fought them. I said, well, sister, look, that whole Cape Colony, the Cape Colony thing, that started with the slave trade. Okay, when Johann Riebeck them and all them Dutch criminals came down there, you got to remember, okay, when they established their colony there in the Cape Colony in 1652, they had already had a colony in West Africa. They had a whole network of slave trading of Africans in West Africa, up in Ghana. The Dutch up there on Cape Coast and places like the Portuguese had it, but I mean the Dutch had it too. They had a whole trading network all over there. You see, they were bringing a lot of Africans from Ghana, from West Africa. Probably from Central Africa too, down because they had this whole thing where the Portuguese and the Dutch were trying to take over the colony of Angola, the area of Angola. We know about their battles with the Bakongo Kingdom and with Queen Nzinga and them. So it was a whole network on this side of the Atlantic, on the western side of the Atlantic. Okay. But the main thing, okay, I think at the height, I was reading, at the height, it was like at one time, they were like, this was in the early 1800s. Probably about 30,000, 40,000 enslaved people enslaved Africans in South Africa. I mean, I'm telling you, that was just the local, the enslaved people. That was the population of enslaved people there who were like, the domestics who worked on plantations or estates or whatever there. But that's not the Africans that got shipped everywhere else to other places. That was part of the international slave trading in African thing. And I was reading that in Mozambique with the Portuguese, with the Omani Arabs, and even regrettably with some of our people, from the Kiswahili, the Swahili city-states culture in East Africa, between 250,000 and 500,000 Africans from Mozambique alone were traded around the Cape of Good Hope to the Atlantic. Many of them went to Brazil, into other places too. There were smaller numbers that came from Madagascar, from the Madagascar Republic, and from in other regions in East Africa. but Southern Africa definitely will. I mean, it's not, it hasn't been highlighted enough. It's like, because we focus a lot on West Africa, but there were a lot of Africans who were brought from Southern Africa. Not just South Africa, what we know as South Africa today, but from Southeastern Africa, from Southern Africa, from, like I said, from Mozambique. I mean, there were even stories, even some from Tanzania. In places like, other areas up there too. You had, I was reading about the trading network over there. Okay, now you had the Swahili civilization. These Africans who had, kind of, to a degree, had blended with except Islam and Arabic culture and Arabic language. But they were still with black people, but they had a little mix. They had the elites and everything. And I mean, it was a fantastic culture, man. I mean, they were traders and merchants all over the Indian Ocean as far as China. But unfortunately, they also traded in our black asses. You know what I'm saying? But they had a network that went into the inside of Africa, the interior of Africa. In one particular, it was this particular kingdom, and I'm not talking about Great Zimbabwe, but it was this particular kingdom, like in the 19th century. I'm giving you more recent history. In the 19th century, this kingdom is located in what is now Tanzania, that was called the Nyamwezi. If I'm pronouncing it right, I might need Jacadero to help me. The Nyamwezi kingdom, and it was a large, powerful kingdom. And one of their kings, I can't think of his name right now, but I know the title he was like the Mwata Yambo. He had a network that connected East Africa with the Atlantic in Angola. This whole network of trading in Africans and ivory and gold and all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was such a wide flinging thing, man. And it was like Africans who were brought from the Congo into the coast and were traded down the coast, into around to the Cape of Good Hope, into Southern Africa, and then shipped from there to the Americas, man. It was mind-boggling just reading about it, man. I don't want to go on too long, get somebody else a chance. But yeah, man, it was real deep, man. The trading of Africans was deep in Southern Africa, man. It wasn't just West Africa; it was all Africa.
And that was real good stuff, Anthony. Really good stuff. And I just want to point out to the audience that we just heard from Anthony, an African in America. We'll hear from an African in the Caribbean, and we'll hear from a continental African in America on this topic. So with that said, let me go to Buana. Buana, you heard what Anthony had to say.
Yes, sir.
And you
Yes,
see
sir.
the prompt. What do you?
Yeah, I first of all, the where the gentleman was in South Africa, that seemed like the original Hidden History Museum, because I never knew some of the things he was saying. Never, so because I didn't know that the slave trade extended that far. I am curious though, who were the people actually selling the slaves? Because I know the Boers was in that area for a long time. So was they participating in the South African slave trade? I really would like to know who were doing the actual selling itself. I'm curious about that. And the gentleman, Anthony mentioned something earlier. He said that there's a carnival that exists in the Caribbean where people paint themselves black. Now, only place I remember is maybe Suriname, and they have this character called.
Buana, you cut out. Yeah, Buana cut out there. Buana, you're going to have to go and come back, I guess. Can you guys hear Buana?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay, yeah. Buana, you cut out. You have to go and come back in. I think he was going to talk I think it's Prester John. Or maybe that's where Jose is. Is it Prester John? I can't remember. But like Afro Native World in the chat does have that jab thing going on. And that's where he covered himself in oil. Trinidad does a little bit of it too. But Grenada is more known for that jab, where they cover themselves in oil and stuff like that. Yeah, after post a topic on it, we'll talk about it in the future. Let me see if Buana got a sound back together. Buana, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You cut out earlier, but you was talking about the Caribbean and the ceremony. Continue from there.
Yeah, my thoughts is yes. My thoughts is yes. I just really was curious as to who was actually doing the selling in South Africa. So maybe Anthony can answer that to me because he seemed very knowledgeable about this particular topic.
Anthony, do you know who's doing the selling? I guess Buana's waiting for you. Do you know?
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. From the study that I've been doing, like I said, it was the Dutch. Those original Dutch settlers. Not that descendants, the Boers of later in the 19th century, the Boer trekkers and all of them people right there. But I mean, those original Dutch colonists that came there in 1652 with what's his name, Jan Riebeck, whatever his name was. And they made the Cape Colony. They made that Cape Coast colony like it was like a transit place. It was a transit of the slave trade. It was Africans who were being brought from Southeast Africa, from the Indian Ocean side to there, and then it was Africans who they were bringing down, from the Central Africa, from West Africa, and like they had like a domestic trade where they brought Africans there to work there locally. Sometimes they also had like I said, where they were shipping them off too. But it was like, it wasn't like the Dutch was going in and getting Africans right there in the local area necessarily. They were importing them from other places. Now, if you get into the Khoisan people who lived in that region, you know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, they had to deal with the slavery too. You know what I'm saying? The local Khoisan people in that area, whose lands were confiscated and stolen, and they was pillaged and raped and robbed, all the bullshit that happened to them. And I would imagine though that some of them they went through some of that through the slavery thing too, like as far as the domestic thing. But I mean, largely, that Cape Coast, it was like a transit place. It was like, well, they brought them from here to there and went to there. I hope that they help answer the question a little bit.
All right, Buana, you want to continue your thoughts, or you done there?
No. That was my thoughts. I just really wanted some clarity as to who was actually doing the selling. So thank you for that, Anthony.
Cool. So with that said, Jacadero should be something number 4, the illegal slave trade in South Africa. The diaspora should claim all of Africa, not just West and Central Africa. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, according to what we've seen from this prompt, the diaspora should just claim all of Africa just in general, not just those places, because of the amalgamation that happened in the Americas, North, South, Central, and the Caribbean of Americas. You didn't just have grandparents that were just from one country. You had grandparents, great, 16 great grandparents, 16 time great grandparents that were from different countries, and that continued to happen. Is it surprising that there's evidence showing that there was a slave dungeon in South Africa? No, not at all. I mean, come on. The Dutch, right? Isn't that the Afrikaners? The Dutch were there, so it makes sense. And then you said that I got some explaining to do. Go. Coco, you're pretty funny, man. I don't know. I mean, my family, just in general, we didn't grow up wealthy. So, if not to be light, I was gonna go a dark way with this. I'm not gonna do that on this, but nonetheless, the diaspora should just always claim just all of Africa. And then if you want to go deeper, there's technology out there. You can go ahead and submit your DNA, and and get to that. But otherwise, listen, we can fight about who did what by who, and then how much damage and how much is owed. At the end of the day, it's about what you want as an individual. What do you want? Do you want reparations money? Cool, then go out and go get it, or go and promote and financially incentivize a politician to go out there and campaign for that. If you don't, if you just want to just, for somebody to say sorry, I'll say sorry. Sure. If you just want to hear that, fine. I'll be probably the first Kenyan to say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about what possibly my ancestors did. I don't know. Again, I don't have any knowledge about this. I wasn't there, but we're all in this together. That's my message, is that we're all in this together. Especially the fact that I'm here in the United States should say a lot. Again, if Kenya really benefited from there, like it's saying, like Swahili states, city states, why am I in the United States? Yeah.
All jokes aside, I'm just ribbing you, as they say. But let's be real, man. Once this thing started, yes, sir. Once this thing started, a lot of our people had to scramble to try to protect themselves from their people being conquered and shipped away. And many, from what I understand, in many cases, they still got shipped off too. So, like I said, I'm just joking with Jacadero. You don't have to explain anything to me.
I feel it. No, it's a good joke. It's good.
Hey, cool.
It's good, man.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Oh yeah. Hey, Coco. Yeah. You know what? Let me say, Jacadero. Look at man. Man, you don't know apology for nothing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Right now, right now, look here. Do you know how many arguments and damn near fights I got into with my brothers, Africans here in America? Talk about, oh man, they sold us. No, nigga, what the hell are you talking about? You need to go learn. You need to read. Look here. I'm saying no African on the continent of Africa today owes an apology. They can give one if they want to, but owes an apology for what happened during the slave trade. You know what I'm saying? They don't know if they didn't do that. Okay, yeah, you can say our ancestors. Okay, but like Koku said, look at the whole creation of the Dahomey Kingdom. The creation of the Dahomey Kingdom. The Dahomey Kingdom, they was known as some slave traders. You know what I'm saying? But their creation came about because their people were victimized by it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They was getting sold left and right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in a survival mode, people do stuff. Then you got the Europeans say, well, look here, we'll give y'all some guns. We'll give y'all some guns. We'll do this if y'all do this. We'll work together. You go over there and enslave your brother. Well, you know what I'm saying? We do the same bullshit now, man. It's the divide and conquer thing. We've been falling for it. You know what I'm saying? We fall just the other day. Some old stupid Negro tried to assassinate Traore. You know what I'm saying? Right. Divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? We got countries now who, we got a Negro from my neck of the woods sitting up there saying all of this old bullshit, like almost remind me of some Saddam Hussein regime change shit. You know what I'm saying about this brother in Burkina Faso. So, it's always been a divide and conquer thing. But no, man, look here. Shit happens. Shit happens under pressure. People do things. People try to survive for themselves. We got to look at it. We got to realize we're no Pan-Africanism back then. Not as we know it today. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't us, hey, look here, we should have, but it wasn't that back then. People didn't see themselves as y'all my people. No, we saw ourselves as this is us. And, those some people, yeah, they are color, they look like, but it's a different culture, whatever. So we can't judge them in the same context that we do today.
Right.
So we had to add context. So, brother, you don't know apologies is nothing, man. And when I was talking about that, I was just like talking about certain things, Hey, if I was going to kind of say, man, tell me about Tipple Till. Hey, but look here, brother. From an African right here to you, a Kenyan African, man, you don't mean no damn apology for nothing. And you don't owe no apology for nobody.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
No,
it.
actually, he does need to apologize for having a president like Ruto in office because that guy is doing some bad stuff, man. He needs to
Hey,
apologize.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Hey, just Wanda, I don't want to do a tit for tat, but your guys' premier also agreed to send soldiers to Haiti as well. It wasn't just Ruto. So again, we don't have to do a tit for tat, but the Bahamian.
He's a dancer too. He's a dancer too. I apologize. I apologize. I apologize, Sir Zuli. I apologize, Sir Zuli. It's not my fault. I didn't vote for that sucker.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Good conversation there. And I appreciate Anthony's last thoughts there as well. In the chat, Afro Native World says Ruto must go. I feel you. Trigger Happy got a good chuckle out of it as well. I like what Trigger had to say here, though. He said, we are fragmented people who are highly related and have the tools for greater unity if we play our cards right. I want that to be remembered. If nothing else, let that be remembered from this episode tonight. We are fragmented people, check, who are highly related, check, and have the tools for greater unity if we play our cards right. And that's the important part at the end, if we play our cards right. Earlier, African World said some chiefs in Ghana have taken responsibility for the Ma'afa and apologized in some cases. The forecast radio points out a lot of the Dutch who were involved were small hats. Keep that in mind as well. We don't forget them people. And our sister Marcus Garvey's the way is out there. She said, if I sold you a shoe and you trashed your shoe by walking in mud and tear off the soles, do you blame the store or shoe owner? Africans can't be responsible for white man savagery. I like that too. If nothing else, remember those two things. Is there any last thoughts from the panelists on this prompt? All right. We're making good time. We're going to end at 11, maybe even a little bit earlier. If you're out there listening, you want to join the panel, just click the link, and you too can have your opinions heard on these great topics that we're doing tonight. Remember, we're coming down to 200 episodes. I'm still trying to figure out, because I've been distracted a little bit, trying to figure out what to do for the 200th episode as a celebration of sorts. So you guys give me some ideas, please. Join the Discord. Give me some ideas on what we can do or should do, and I'll try to get that done. In the meantime, Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 says, should South Sudan have stood their ground and not accept a deportee? Should South Sudan have stood their ground and not accept a deportee? So this came with a link that's going to take us to YouTube. What we'll do is let me make sure you guys can see my screen. You can. What we'll do is we'll watch this short video and then we'll discuss it.
The United States of America says it is immediately revoking visas issued to all South Sudanese passport holders due to the African nation's refusal to accept its citizens who have been repatriated from the U.S. According to the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, South Sudan's government is taking advantage of the United States, and the U.S. will block any arriving citizens of South Sudan. A strong part of President Donald Trump's immigration policy is to remove unlawful migrants from the U.S. through mass deportations. South Sudanese nationals had been granted temporary protected status by Joe Biden's administration, which shields people against deportation because they cannot return home because of war, natural disaster, or any other extraordinary conditions. This temporary protected status for the South Sudanese citizens is, however, set to expire next month. This recent announcement comes as tensions remain high in South Sudan.
Okay, so should it be something forced that should South Sudan have stood their ground and not accept a deportee? Let me start with Buana on this one. Buana, what are your thoughts here?
No, they should have accepted him. I think that he was from South Sudan. So if he is the son of the soil, obviously they should take one of their sons of the soil back. That's just right. So I agree with the government deciding to accept them. And if they are in America, and then America seems to be extremely hostile to black immigrants, I think that Africa and the Caribbean and other black nation states should open their arms and say, if you all don't want our children, that's fine. We'll accept our children. And it's a show of solidarity in the black world. And it's basically showing our humanity. And if America wants to go the way where they want to go, whatever direction they're going in, I think that we should accept our people with open arms. Open arms. We'll deal with it, whatever issues they may have had when they come back home. But as far as them getting kicked out of our country, no, Africa needs to give our people a wide berth and say, welcome home, son, and we will protect you and we will take care of you and we will facilitate all the needs that you may have or all the concerns that you may have in our respective continent. So I see no problem with it, Coco. Not at all.
I appreciate that, Buana. Anthony, what say you to it? Should South Sudan have stood their ground and not accept a deportee?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, okay. On the surface, I would agree with what Buana just said. I would agree with what you said. But this is one thing that we had to look at, though, Coco. I'm gonna say this is one thing we got to look at. Okay, now we know South Sudan is a young nation. It's a new nation. South Sudan is, external forces are trying everything that they can, to keep South Sudan destabilized. And not only, we have to also factor in, the unfortunate ethnic rivalry, the ethnic tensions in the country, between the Dinka people, and the newer people, and probably other groups too. See, what I'm saying, we got to add a little more context to this whole situation. Okay, some people, if you gotta, what I'm saying, you gotta read, you gotta do a little bit more studying, looking into the politics in South Sudan. Okay, President Salva Kiir, you know what I'm saying, and the former, one of his former chief aides and ministers, vice president of ministers, the whole political thing, what's going on in their country. Now, see, a lot of people left South Sudan for what we call political reasons. You know what I'm saying? They left for political reasons because they was outside of the ruling government. You know what I'm saying? So you had to factor that in. So with this motherfucker, this bastard Trump doing all the shit that he doing, okay, he don't give a damn about the context. But I'm saying, deporting some of these people back might mean a death sentence for them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when you get back, we're going to shoot your ass, or we're going to kill your ass, or we're going to lock you up and put you in jail. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying we had to add a little context to it. No, it's just more than, like, on the service level, we can look at it like that and say, yeah, man, that's cool. But you have to also realize the political thing that's going on in South Sudan. You know what I'm saying? For the last year, they've been down there on the brink of civil war again. This is a young country. Has a vibrant and beautiful young population, man. It's some of the most beautiful people you ever seen, man. You know what I'm saying? Smart, intelligent. You know what I'm saying? They got mineral wealth. You got these external forces fighting for the oil. They just discovered oil over there. And it's so many forces pulling at this young country. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, it just needs to be a little bit more context to it. I don't think it's just as simple. Y'all, man, this cold killing me. It just ain't as simple as like a deportee coming back necessarily. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it can be if you look at it on a surface level, but when you look a little deeper, you know what I'm saying? I think you just have to add a little bit more context to it. That's all I'm saying.
Appreciate that, Anthony. With that said, I guess, Jackado, you heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to it?
According to the report, is that at the beginning they weren't accepting this certain individual because they believed that he was of Congolese nationality. And I'm going to say that they shouldn't, just according to whatever intelligence that they had. And also stepping up to the quote unquote big bad wolf of the world, the United States, telling the U.S. no would have been monumental, like they did in the beginning. In the beginning, they were saying no. And that's so. This is what I've read, is that the visa ban of South Sudanese nationals came about because Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State for the United States, had a difficult time of getting South Sudan to agree to accept not just this deportee, but there were a few other deportees that South Sudan was questioning their nationality. And so it got to a standstill in February. I think they started deportations in January, right when Trump was inaugurated for the second time. It got to a standstill in February. March, there was like a standoff on hey, we're not budging. U.S. is not budging. U.S. is not going to relent. And then March comes. April comes along, and Marco Rubio sends the message, hey, we're just going to go ahead and ban visas. Visa applications are going to automatically be denied of South Sudanese nationals. They didn't state that it was specifically for this, but I mean, it was a reaction nonetheless that South Sudan was standing their ground and saying, we're not going to accept this particular deportee that we believe is of Congolese nationality and others as well. Sure, context is important. They're dealing with their own thing, but also it was great to see from a Pan-Africanist standpoint. I think every Pan-African, it would have been nice. I think that it would have filled us pride had South Sudan stuck to their guns and said, no, we're just not going to do this. They ended up relenting anyways, and I'm not sure. There hasn't been any update on this particular individual, if he's landed back in South Sudan or not. They did officially say that they were going to accept this deportee, which was sad. If they didn't, man, this would have been great. Again, like Anthony had mentioned, the youngest nation in the world. Well, the youngest quote unquote sovereign nation, but the oldest, arguably the oldest land, in the world, especially in the African world. This is where a large part of those West African ideologies came from, arguably, is that Kush kingdom. So I think that they shouldn't have relented. It should have been, I'm going to stand my ground. We don't give a damn what you say. We don't give a damn who you are, Marco Rubio, and what you represent. I'm curious to see on what comes after this, because one thing I know being around the average South Sudanese is that they're pretty stubborn. And so I'm really curious to see what happens for the rest of this time now, because I believe that deportations just of all of individuals are going to amp up here in the summer. And so what is to come? Because if there still is a visa ban for South Sudanese individuals still at play, who's to say that there still isn't South Sudanese visa holders still in the United States? Are they going to give themselves up? Are other people going to give themselves up? And then what are we looking at in the future, especially this upcoming summer? Not to relate, but a related story about how you can aid and hide a quote unquote fugitive. Because I guess if you're in the country past a certain time, you're now a fugitive, right? You're in the country illegally. There was a judge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that was arrested on the accusation that she was aiding and abetting an illegal immigrant, I believe from either El Salvador or Honduras, one of those Latin American countries. She was arrested and tried up on her crimes, and that was a judge herself. So I'm really curious to see what is to come from this. because I don't believe that that, again, just being around South Sudanese, they're pretty stubborn just in general, which, again, I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I am saying in the context that we're dealing with here, if there is a current war in the country, why would a South Sudanese, like Anthony said, they're here because there's political turmoil in the country. Why would they want to go back? Well, yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to come.
Very interesting stuff, man. Is there any last thoughts on this prompt by anyone on the panel? I know Buana wasn't here for a second. Buana, you have any last thoughts on this prompt? I don't know what's going on with Buana's sound here, but seems like there's no last thoughts here. So I was going to end the show after this prompt, to be honest. But I realized that there is a conversation we can have that I guess we'll end the show on that conversation. It's one that's been buzzing all week. You guys have an idea what it is. Shoot the Breeze topic number 6. Why, Shannon, why? You were warned. So you know who this is about. This prompt came with a few attachments. We'll play them all and then we'll discuss them. So here's attachment number 1.
It's different now. When you and I,
it's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
But you tried to say that. What you tried to say?
I'm looking right at you. I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, no.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I do.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. When they want you to go for a 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah.
Because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's going to say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's going to get your energy back up. I'm talking right to you. Shit.
This dating thing. Because this is
accused of sexual assault and rape. There is a young woman. She is now in her early 20s, but she says that she met Shannon Sharpe when she was 19 years old in a gym in Los Angeles back in 2023. And she says that because of what she experienced, and she says that she alleges that the rape was brutal, like it was very it was aggressive. She wants $50 million in exchange. So this was filed late Sunday in Nevada by attorney Tony Busby. Now, this woman is alleging that Shannon Sharpe raped her multiple times over the course of a 2-year relationship. The relationship that they had was sexual and parts of it were consensual. But she says during their relationship, because he was physically stronger, a lot older than her, like 30 some years older than her, and just, more powerful, he began to get really aggressive. But she, at this point, she was already in it. She says that he was manipulative. He would threaten to choke her and slap her. She's also said that at some point she was being recorded without her consent, and that she later found out and alleges that the videos were shown to people. Now, when they first met in the gym back in 2023, she says that she didn't know who he was, that it was just like an older guy that was like, checking out in the gym. He was very persistent. So eventually they started texting, conversation, and that led into them, beginning to see each other outside of the gym. They got into an argument in a home. This was after the whole like Instagram live thing, because with the woman that we think is named Michelle. Yes. Because at that point she said that they were in a physical relation, not physical. They were in an actual relationship. They were in Vegas together. So when that happened, she had already kind of been, in this thing where he's verbally abusive, allegedly, but she thought that they were together. This Instagram live happens. She gets upset. She breaks it off because he's supposed to be exclusive, allegedly, to her. And he doesn't like that. She tries to turn on her phone location at some point during these arguments and send the phone location to her friends. He tells her and threatens her allegedly to say that like he will effing kill her if she ever does that again. But the rape part of it, she says that she was allegedly raped very, very brutal.
Mm.
She alleges the last rape incident happened January 2025. So it was, according to her, this was very recent. Shannon Sharpe released a statement after all of these allegations dropped, but he's denying
Lord
this.
have
He's
mercy.
denying this. He also is saying that there is a video that this woman's team has that he's been shown. Hey y'all, it's Lauren LaRosa from The Breakfast Club. Sorry to interrupt, but y'all know how I do. So I'm here to talk about Top Dog Law. Y'all hear Top Dog Law?
You go grab Tony Busby as the lawyer.
Yeah, if you want to be taken serious, Tony Busby.
But this, she might have grabbed him a long time ago. We don't know when she actually
Like, if
grabbed him. Do
he's
we
just
know when she
getting to
grabbed
her.
him?
Well, okay, so we do
When she
know
was
now.
with-
We do have a timeline exclusively. So I reached out to Attorney Busby and I asked him, first of all, did this happen? Did you guys file this because of that $100 million podcast negotiation conversation? And he said they've been in contact with Shannon Sharpe's counsel since February, long before any announcement. So then I said to him, well, you know, they're also saying in Shannon Sharpe's statement that there's a video that has been altered to make it look like their sexual intercourse or whatever is non-consensual when it's actually consensual if you show the full video. Tony Busby said to me, he is a liar. He never even actually saw it. It wasn't even referenced or referred to in the case we filed. But now that his lawyer has breached the mediation agreement that Mr. Sharpe's counsel insisted upon, it should be known that there is indeed a video. The video was shown to his lawyers at a mediation. The video was also made available to Mr. Sharpe for him to personally view it in full at my office. He didn't want to view it. He chose to offer a substantial amount of money instead, which my client ultimately rejected. So then I said, well, wait, y'all mediated? Because that means that
this shit been going on. Like, he been knowing about this.
Been wanting to, like, there was possibly a settlement. Like, there's been conversations, right? Like, y'all didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah, but common sense lets you know that, though. These lawsuits don't just drop. Like, they always reach out to your team beforehand to let you know
that we're about to put this out.
Absolutely.
And if you want to put the
if you want to
kibosh on
settle,
it.
that's right.
I just hung up the phone with a legal representative for Shannon Sharpe who wanted to make some things clear.
Oh, you fast.
They want to make it very clear that the information that Tony Busby shot me about the video, and what they're saying is that Tony Busby is making it seem like when he speaks to me that they were offered this ability to see this video in full when they asked, because they did ask, hey, let us see the video because we want to make sure it's not altered. But they said that never happened. He denied them the ability to see the video in full. And from what they were told from their client, Shannon Sharpe, the video that they did see was an altered video. And the reason why they wanted to see it was because they, of course, they know from what they're being told, there's another version of this video. I'm also told with the mediation, there was.
What is the video showing? Is it showing a quote unquote rape or force?
In the statement that Shannon released, he said that there's a video that showed consensual sexual acts where he's doing things that she requested be done. Like, I don't know if it's like a role play situation or whatever the case may be, but it was all consensual. But it's edited to look a completely different way, allegedly, according to Shannon.
Rape.
Right. And Tony Busby is saying that is not true. We showed them the full video. Matter of fact, Tony Busby said specifically to me in the email that Shannon Sharpe did not want to see the video. He just wanted to throw money at the problem. Shannon Sharpe's team is saying that did not go down that way. There were conversations about millions of dollars, but that came from their side. And they feel like it was a shakedown. And that's why they walked away. I will have some more information once I get back on the phone, but I literally came in here hanging it up. But they're very adamant.
They reached out to you.
I reached out to them and he gave me a call because they're very adamant about, of course, they wanted to pick, you know, their side of things and tell what they believe is their truth. So we'll have more on that, I'm pretty sure, because the attorneys have a lot to say. Shannon Sharpe released a statement after all of these allegations dropped. The statement starts with a quote from a text message. So the quote, and some of it I can't even say, I don't think, but it says, the woman is allegedly texting Shannon Sharpe saying, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me.
Yes.
And then they have the woman's name. And it says that this is a text that she sent to Shannon Sharpe on October 7, 2023. Now, there's another text message that says, I know you missed this big, juicy A word. Can I say that?
Yeah. No, it's just A.
Okay, A word. $25K for each cheek. And then her name is mentioned again. And this message is from January 1st, 2025. Now they're saying that the lawsuit that was filed by this woman is orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant.
She said 25,000 each cheek.
Each cheek.
What?
But I mean, he led with money. She alleges that when they first met in the gym, one of their first conversations was he said, yo, if you get fit and lose weight with me and win this competition, I'll pay for you to get your boobs done.
How old was she at the time, they said?
At the time, in the documents, they said she was 19 when she met him in 2023, but she's now in her early 20s.
And Shannon, what, 56 now? He'd have been 54 at the time.
Let me see how old he is.
I think he's like 56.
Nah,
with 2,500 a cheek. So what? Like
25,000 a cheek.
25,000 a cheek.
Google says he is 56 years old.
But were they a couple?
Yes, they were. They were doing
According to
whatever this
her.
dance
He was 50 and she was 19.
56, 54.
54 and she was 19 years old.
So listen, and crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. So yes, whatever they were doing at the time, according to Shannon Sharp, it was consensual, but she's looking at it a different way.
But that's not against the law because she was of age. So even though she was 19, that's not against the law.
This is a very, very messy situation. I don't know what's true and what's not true, but I have no idea why a 54-year-old man is dating a 19, 20-year-old. I know y'all like to be out here bragging about smashing these young things, but that's not a flex to me. You 54 years old. You should be laid up with your wife and kids, taking your cholesterol medicine, minding your damn business. We need discipline and stability. That's I ain't talking about just Shannon. I'm just talking about all of us in general. Men need discipline and stability. Find you one woman and settle your ass down, okay?
I agree with you, but it's not against the law. He can as long as the person's over a certain age, it is not against the law. So legalities, that's not against the law.
I'm with you.
It don't feel right, but for himself, it's not against the law.
I'm with you. I'm just saying a 54-year-old man is supposed to be laid up with his wife and kids somewhere. Hell, maybe even have a couple of grandkids. I don't want to be chasing no young girls.
Because what are the conversations like? What are the conversations? If I'm 54 and you 20.
That's what I thought about. Like, what do y'all even talk about?
I don't agree with
signs of a stroke.
But all I'm gonna say is when you see all these white people do it, Leo DiCaprio, Seinfeld, Hugh Hefner, Joaquin Phoenix, John Mayer, when they date young girls, nobody says anything. I'm not saying it's right. But it's not against the law.
But I saw Shannon with Andrew Schultz, and he was just talking about all of the ways he avoids situations like this. I don't know if y'all saw that part of the conversation. He don't even want to be on the elevator with a woman and stuff like that. It's the same thing with this. You know, a lack of discipline and stability can increase the chances of a situation like this happening. You 54 years old and 19-year-old, 20-year-old.
No, you're right.
It's like, come on. If you're going to be that disciplined with everything else, you got to be disciplined all across the board.
But you know what's going to happen now? You're going to see more than one accuser start popping out now.
Well, I hope not.
But that's what usually happens.
Yeah.
One accuser is suing for $100 million. There's gonna be another girl that's gonna be like, "Well, it happened to me too. I need 20." Then another one's gonna come. I need 10. That's what you're gonna see. I hope not too.
I would hope not.
I hope he didn't do this, but that's what you more likely to see.
We've seen in the past.
And why wouldn't you wait till he signed his podcast deal?
Because we don't know nothing about no.
She might not have put it out last week. They just put the announcement out last week.
Did you see these text messages? In this statement, these alleged text messages, this woman said she wants a big black baby put in her. She ain't waiting on nothing.
I don't know.
You want a big black baby?
She said it twice. They included these text messages that show the nature of their consensual sexual relationship.
So she not black either.
Nope, she white.
So once again, Dr. Umar when you need him. Y'all gonna learn.
I'ma just say
I am totally against it.
Oh my God.
Even in sinners. Y'all ain't that's what you know what
they were role playing and everything according to the statement, but he says it was all consensual. So this video, I don't know, it could look kind of crazy, but
young girls, not black. Once again, we need discipline and stability because when you don't have no discipline and stability, it increases the chances of situations like this happening.
Is the woman white? Do we know if the woman is white or she's Latino or what?
I haven't confirmed that, but I can. But I just assumed by the conversation that she wasn't a black woman, but I will confirm that. And I'll let y'all know.
Are we able to say her name?
We can say her name.
Can we play with race?
You can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, I was about to say I just don't know how to pronounce it.
Let me see.
Please.
Okay, Jess.
That's what I'm going for.
Okay, Jess.
No. Okay.
Let me see.
We doing this or no? What do we?
Because I know it's G. It begins with a G.
You know what? Let's let Jess try to pronounce it.
The lawsuit filed by it's a third graph.
Doom, Gabriella Zuniga.
Ooh. Why you call her a Zoom nigga? You call that woman a Zoom nigga for no reason. That woman ain't even do nothing to you and you call her a Zoom nigga. You see what I'm saying?
No, I didn't.
Zuniga? What the hell is she? She's not African,
That was
right?
probably one of her tweets to Shannon. That one of her texts to Shannon. I want you, Zoom nigga. Put all of that in me.
And you see it all the time, right? Older men date these young women. But let me just flip it. Just imagine if you have a 20-year-old daughter or a 19-year-old daughter and she brings home a 50-year-old man. We fighting. We fighting. There's nothing that y'all have in common.
What? You said Shannon Sharp would beat your ass.
I wasn't talking about Shannon Sharp. I got Logan though. I got Lil Logan. What do you think Lil Logan goes to the gym every day?
Frail 54-year-old is on.
You're just gonna like get mad at and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
what does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a dick to me now, so
I don't want to be
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Anything I say.
My family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets Black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all.
You know, that sellout Jason Whitlock did make a kind of a good point here. He said when Shannon did this apology, you notice he ain't being the country bumpkin clown at all. He come, you know, proper speaking and addressing pretty much the Black community too, by the way, which is what they tend to do when they get in trouble. Cheryl said that Negro's life is over. Let me see if my panelists feel the same. Jacadero, are you familiar with this story? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I am. I didn't want to be familiar with this story, but unfortunately, I am. I'm only laughing because the fact that Monique, right? I don't consider Shannon and Monique, sure, they're entertainers, but I don't consider them in the same realm. So the fact that Monique was aware that like he was messing with that, I don't know. You know, one, is it illegal for him to just mess with women that are around 55? No. But the fact that Monique knew that like he just has a hard time keeping it in his pants, that was just crazy to me. Like, why would Monique know my business? And again, this is not a necessary attack on Monique, but it's more like I'm in the athletic industry. Like Monique is a comedian. Like why, where are we running into each other that like she knows this stuff? Second, it's this, what do they call that? Extortion season. So unlike the Jay-Z allegation, which, you know, ended up proving out to be incorrect, a whole lie. This situation is tough for him because since this thing has dominated social media, I've just been seeing nothing of clips from him and his show pretty much using sexual innuendo throughout. Like I think there was one clip that I saw that was a minute long and he was just using sexual innuendo when it's supposed to be either a pop culture or a sports commentary podcast. So I was always wondering, like, so what else do they talk about on the show, you know, for Shannon to be having sexual innuendo? Again, you know, like I'm only laughing because it's like everybody knew that Shannon's a freak, and then it just caught up to him. Do I think that he's guilty? Especially if they had, I think like it was mentioned that they had like a over a year relationship. Then no, I don't think he's guilty because it's like, hey, this woman was about money. Now, should he not be messing with white girls? These guys, these type of guys are always the same. When I mentioned these guys that like, bro, they okay, his contract was up for a reported $100 million podcast renewal. So like they, I guess they review your product, which is your podcast, and they say, hey, according to the numbers and ad revenue, pretty much we can make this kind of money from your product, which is his podcast. So this girl must have smelled whatever it was and was like, yo, I'm trying to get some of that money too. But guys at his level, they're not going to choose a black girl. And also, if he's this big of a freak, I don't want him to be around black girls. Please stay away. Because like he released, Shannon himself, he released text messages hoping that public opinion would be in his favor. Unfortunately, I got bored and I read some of these text messages. They both some weirdos. I think she said at some point, like, I want you to give me a big black baby, and I want your baby gravy inside me. Bro, what? I don't want this kind of guy around black girls, man. Get out of here, bro. Whether young or old, stay away. You just a freak. You a freak, and not in a good way. How did Kendrick say it? Freaky ass nigga. You was 69. Go.
I just had some dinner with gravy on it. You just ruined that for me. Thanks.
I'm dying.
With that said, let me hear from Anthony next.
Coco, why you do that, man?
You are
Yo, Coco, why we got to end the show with this fool, man? Hey, I mean, I knew it was come. I knew it was gonna come around. I was hoping it'd probably be next show or something like that. But no, man. You know, I have no sympathy for Shannon Sharp. Okay, first, let me say this here. Okay, I think it is a money thing. The girl is trying to get his money. I don't think he raped the bitch, raped her, none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it had it. I don't think it. You know, I don't think it was that. But what I'm saying is, I have no sympathy for this brother. Like you said, you seen Monique talking to, and you seen when Cat Williams was telling him about the white girls. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Sharp is a brother, a Negro, one of these Negroes who has a whole lot of self-hate. He one of them brothers who looked in the mirror and looked at himself and said, I hate you, Negro. You know what I'm saying? I know exactly how he feels because I remember when I was 16, 17, you know what I'm saying? Years old, you know, young black brother, you know, looking in the mirror at myself, full of that self-hate too. You know, that stuff that it took me a long time to get rid of. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and though I didn't never mess with white women, you know, white girls and nothing in high school and nothing like that. But it was, I did have a thing of like, white is right, white is better. You know what I'm saying? And I know he went through the same thing, and then he even more dark skinned than me. You know what I'm saying? So this brother is full of self-hate. It's been ingrained in him for a long time. Ever since I've been watching him. I remember when he first came to the NFL, man. You know, I remember he used to talk a lot. I said, man, you know, this brother overcompensating for something, man. You know what I'm saying? He got a deep-seated hate. He got a Jack Johnson hatred. You know what I'm saying? You know, we talk about Jack Johnson. You know, Jack Johnson was full of self-hate too. But this is a deep self-hate that go in a lot of our brothers. You look at that brother, whole brothers all across the NFL, all over sports. Time they get money and get married, what they do? Go and get these white girls, or go and get these Spanish, get these Mexican, you know, other than black women. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it goes, look what I can get now, what the money doesn't allow me to get now. Man, I think about some of my roster brothers, man, when they talk about Babylonians and stuff like that, they call you a Babylonian. I know the brother was explaining to me, he said, man, you know what, you live in Babylon, you're a Babylonian. And he was saying, breaking it down to me like, it don't matter whether you're black or white. He said, it's your lifestyle or what you get involved in. You know, and then it made me think about, and that led me to think about what Farrakhan used to say. Remember, Farrakhan was talking about black people in America and how we do. He said, you live in a habitation of devils, and so you became a small devil. You ain't the big devil, but you became a little devil. In other words, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. You know what I'm saying? That kind of mentality right there. And that's what a lot of these brothers and sisters too, to a lesser degree, but to a growing degree, they do when they come into some money, some celebrity, get put out there in the forefront. But what you don't know is that like that deal with the devil. The deal with the devil always got a bad ending for you in the end. Okay, yeah, you on top today. You got money today. They just gave you $100 million, and now they're gonna take that motherfucker away from you. You know what I'm saying? And what's the first thing, like Coco, like we said, what's the first thing they do? They come back to us. Man, I heard this Negro say on the show with Skip Bayless. I heard it live. I heard him say it was because somebody was going at him for his interracial relationship. He said black people would rather be miserable with a black person than be happy with a white person. You know what I'm saying? Right there, when he said that told me everything about that I need to know about Shannon. That told me.
And Anthony,
he just like
Anthony, sorry to interrupt. What did that have to do with sports? Like his show, like he shouldn't even have addressed that. He shouldn't even have said that because it had nothing to do about sports. That's the most confusing thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you exactly why it happened. This is why it happened. Because you know what? What's in a man gonna come out of it. What's in a man or a woman, it's gonna come out of you sooner or later.
Yeah.
Hey, look here. It's gonna come out of you. I could sit here, any one of us, we could sit here we could talk about black empowerment and talk about unity and everything. If that ain't really in us, guess what? That other shit gonna come out eventually.
It's gonna show up. Yeah.
It's gonna show up. When somebody, if Koku or anyone else start talking about black unity and black power, or nation or whatever, somebody gonna throw some shit in like that can't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like you delusional. I'm just saying, what's in you gonna come out of you. It's gonna come out of you. And what's happening is just coming out of Shannon Sharp. You know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, yeah, like man, look here. I think I might be the senior citizen on the panel. I don't know how the other. I think I'm 58. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, common sense tells me, hey man, you know what, man, go sit your old ass down, man, and get you a settler. A woman your own closer to your old age. Go and try to live your life. Live your life and leave that other bullshit alone. But not only you got this brother, black ass brother, you know what I'm saying, with all this internal self-hatred. We'll say he got a little money and he going off, as old as he is, he should know better. But you know what? It's ingrained in his mind. It's ingrained in his mind. No, I don't think he ain't raped that old bitch. He ain't do none of that shit. And the girl want to get some money from him. But damn, what the hell you expect? But see, when you got that mentality, I'm OJ. You know what I'm saying? I'm OJ. I ain't black. I'm OJ. I'm Shannon. I ain't black. You know what I'm saying? I'm above that shit right there. You know what I'm saying? I got money. I got prestige. People know me. I got a show. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, just observe. You know what? You can sit down and just listen to people talk. Don't say nothing and listen to them talk. Like I said, what's in them gonna come out of them. I'll let somebody else talk, man.
Oh, sorry about that. I was throwing away a pot of poutine gravy just now after what Jacadero said. With that said, let's hear from Buana. Buana should be talking. Number 6 says, "Why, Shannon? Why? You were warned." Go ahead.
Cool. I don't know how you find poutine, but poutine is one of my favorite meals. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you find poutine, but needless to say, first of all, let me say this: I'm not into celebrity culture. You know what I mean? So I just look at it on the face of it. So I have to say shout out to Kim Kardashian, shout out to Gabrielle Zuniga, shout out to Nicole Brown Simpson, shout out to Tiger Woods' wife too, by the way. We have a saying in the Bahamas. They say, if you find a donkey, you ride it. If they find, and what they mean by that is, if you find a millionaire, a multi-millionaire who's goofy, who don't use his brain, and the only thing he have for him is he holding his dick in his hand to the next person who is going to give him some sexual gratification, and they take advantage of it, you ride that donkey until a donkey goes where it's supposed to go. I wish them millions of dollars. I want them to get millions. If I was to meet Shannon Sharp or Puff Daddy or any of these guys wouldn't spit on me. They would think that they are better than me. Why? I don't care about these dudes, nor do they care. And I know the feeling is mutual. Anthony was talking about self-hate. Listen, did it ever occur to you that they don't even date wealthy white girls? Tiger Woods date his nanny. His nanny get him for $500 million. You know what I mean? This lady she was working as a waitress. Nicole Brown's sister, Simpson, was probably in Hooters. They don't even get top shell white women. They don't even get wealthy white women. They get some broke hobo on the side of the road, and who gonna give them some freakish sex and say, oh, I love you. Did you hear that discussion they was having, like on the telephone? This is plantation politics at its best, man. This is plantation style politics at its best. And I don't blame them girls for 1 second. They find an idiot to take advantage of, and we talk about Garvey in the show. I keep on telling the brothers, intelligence run the world and ignorance carries the burden. And he is about to carry the burden for his stupidity. He's about to carry that burden. He blew $100 million bag. I think he lost his job at a news station he was working at. Now he's on the internet talking about, she lying on me. I don't give a shit about these celebrities, man. I really don't, man. They have plantation style mentalities. They want to play plantation politics. They want to have plantation style relationships. Bless them. I wish them well. And that's really all I got to say about that Koku. That's it.
Yeah, KW on 7th says Tiger Woods gave his ex-wife $100 million. Nah, it was like $500 million, man. He gave her $500 million, though, a woman who was a fucking nanny for one of his golf rivals, and then she became his nanny. Yeah, if you find a donkey, I know a donkey right now getting ridden, but if you find a donkey, ride it. You know, and this Shannon Sharp is a whole Nigerian, by the way. He's from the south of he's from the black south in America, but he did his DNA and he found out he was like 90% Nigerian. You know, and just a fucking disappointment out here. But I'm glad that we have this next panelist who joined us, because I was asking for an African woman to come up and give their 2 cents on this. And Cheryl answered the call. Cheryl, how are you this week?
Can I be heard?
Yes, you can. How are you this week?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Great. I'm hanging in there. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah. So
what are your thoughts? And take your time with this one. What are your thoughts? And also let's talk about it in a way that the young men coming up can actually get something, you know, from it as a young man, if you don't mind. So let's go, Cheryl. Talk about it.
yeah, so like everybody that came on and they said what they said about Shannon it's y'all pretty much said everything. He's just another lost soul, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just one of them. And as far as our sons, for a younger generation, I just feel like for every generation we have, for as long as we've been in contact with white people, we have examples for every single generation for men who behave like Shannon Sharp. So what we need to do with our sons is show them, yeah, these are celebrities, they're going to do what they do because they're tied to Hollywood. They're inextricably tied to white people. So these are the type of men that you don't want to be. And I know they're celebrities and we don't want to, you don't have to acknowledge them. They're just clowns, but social media is a powerful thing. And like I always say, every time I come on here, socialization beats information, right? So whatever they see in the media, they go and talk to their friends about it. And nowadays, maybe a lot of people don't know this, but in a lot of social media I guess like groups. You have like these gender wars. You have the men against the women. You have men defending Shannon Sharp. You got black women talking about I'm a mind my own black business. But Shannon Sharp did this to himself and da 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 da. And yeah, it's true, he did do it to himself. But you know, at the end of the day, these are things that our children are looking at. You know, so in impressionable minds. So it's important to have, you know, family members who can teach them what's going on, because regardless of if Shannon is guilty or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, all these details, none of that crap matters. The only thing that matters is how white men are going to come to the defense of this white woman, um, in order to throw this man all the way under the bus. And he helped them. He gave them the ammunition to do it. So yeah, you can't really feel, and he's already burned so many bridges with black people, so many bridges. So I mean, nobody's coming to his defense. Doesn't matter how many pleas, how many, oh, he's a good guy, he would never, we all know he would never do it, but that's not the point. The point is we live in a white country. I'm white and I say so. So if white people get, you know, if white people say he did it, then he did it. Period. There's really no two ways about it. So that's just how I feel.
The old I'm white and I say so. Cheryl, in the back chat, we briefly talked about it. Juana earlier said, he pointed out how a lot of these black guys tend to get some lowly white woman. But I guess a good question is there a high class white woman as far as black people are concerned? What are your thoughts on this idea?
Absolutely not.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Cheryl, it's on you. It's on you.
Oh, okay. I mean, I know what people mean when they say it. It's like when you look at it, it's like, she's 19, 20, whatever, he's 56. But I mean, if she wasn't 19, and she was 45, and, would that make a difference? Like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's still the same problem. If not worse, is because when a white woman is 45 and she's in the same age range as Shannon Sharp, she's definitely coming after him. I mean, look at how these white women came after Cosby, and it's 50 years later. I mean, it's probably an even worse situation. This young white girl just knows she got power, but she's not experienced enough to know how to really handle that power. So I mean, probably be worse if she was an older white woman. It doesn't matter. I mean, to me, it just really doesn't matter how she looks. White is white. It's still dog hair. They're not like us. I mean, so either way. But I understand when people say that, well, why wouldn't he go for this, an older woman? But in the grand scheme of things, she's still white. So
Appreciate that, Cheryl. In the chat, very affirmation by Pauline. She says, I have a friend whose grandson is I think, track athlete. Her rule for him is no white girlfriends. Absolutely. By now, that should be understood. I just don't get it about black folks. But does anyone else have any thoughts after what Cheryl mentioned? Is there any last thoughts on the prompt? Okay. No last thoughts. So let's do our shout outs. Cheryl, if you don't mind, just hang in there a minute or two. Trigger asked a nice question here, actually. How do y'all feel about other races? Are y'all okay with the Latina and whatnot? This is a general question. Anyone can answer.
I feel the same way they do about us. They don't rock with us. And even if they did, I still feel the same way, because we shouldn't be we shouldn't be engaging with them anyway. So, and it's not nothing personal. It's just, you love African people, you don't got to use a Hispanic woman as the midway point between, or an Asian woman as a midway point, because sometimes Black people will do that. They won't be with a white person, but they think it's okay to be with like an Asian or Hispanic, like taking that step in between. They still not African, they still not Black. You got all of these billions of Black people, and you go in for them, and you go to their countries and you get disrespected, and you get mistreated and stuff. You ain't got to worry about that. If you go to a Black country. I mean, some people will argue, oh, Black people treat me bad here and da da da. People always, and anytime people do that, they always go to personal experiences. I don't rely on personal experiences because I know our people are psychologically damaged in a way that other races of people, when you go to their countries, it's not the same. So I don't care if a Black person in another country, they treat me bad, because I know 9 times out of 10 they're influenced by a white religion, which causes them to think that way. So I don't care. I'm still gonna rock with Black people anywhere I go.
As for me, yeah. As for me and the other races, I get this question from, and it's funny. One of my South Sudanese cats, he asked me, he's like, "Yo, why are you only into Black women?" And I was like, "Why not?" And then he was like, "Don't you feel like you're limiting yourself?" And then I was like, "Let me ask you a question. You from South Sudan, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Would you say that your women look anything close to women from South Africa?" He's like, "Nah." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Do women from typically Congo, do they look like girls from Ethiopia?" And he's like, "Nah." And I was like, "Okay, good." And then I was like, "What about girls from Somalia? Do they look anything like girls from Nigeria?" And he's like, "Nah." And I go, "Well, there you have it." I was like, "I just gave you 6 different type of girls. And you said that none of them look alike. So I can only imagine how meeting them, they probably don't all act the same way." So as far as different races goes, bro, Africa and the diaspora is pretty vast. If you feel like you're running into the same person, it's just you. There's still a lot of Black people. Like they say this in a negative way. I'm going to use it in a positive way. Black people aren't necessarily a monolith. So it's never crossed my mind, just because of the fact that there's a lot of Black people, man. A lot, not just shades, but attitudes, personalities, behaviors. And it's awesome. If you ever want to go out and experiment with other races, bro, do what you do. As far as for right here, I love the way that I look. I hope that my children, I'm looking forward to my children looking exactly the way that I do.
Well said there, Jacadell. Well said. I was expecting you to say, "Where's the white woman?" But you surprised me pleasantly, and I
Come on, man. Come on, Coco. Don't do me, man.
I kid. Anyone else want to add any last thoughts here? I think Anthony did want to speak earlier, right? If not,
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I'm just saying. I agree with the sister, and I agree with Jacadero, man. I mean, as a Garvey, it's Black for me, man, all the way, 100%. I'm not. I mean, white women and people of color and all of those shit right there. No, that means absolutely nothing to me, man. Because it ain't but one way to build a black nation and a Black world, and that's with Black men and women and Black children. I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely, Anthony. Thanks for that. The matron is in the chat. Shout out to the matron. You guys make sure to tune in to her program. I believe it's going to be Monday at 7. So make sure you tune into her program and support her in any way you can. She says Shannon Sharp hates himself and Black people so much that he doesn't want his money or his genetics to mix with the Black community. I'm from Native World mentioned when we talk about Latinos or Latinas. Most of the time, y'all are talking about mestizas, is what he says when y'all say Latina, not Black or indigenous ones, in my opinion. All right, I'll keep that in mind in the future, Trigger Happy said, yeah, this has to be asked because the idea is popular for many because many sympathize with other struggles. Trigger also says Black people have so much genetic diversity, we don't have to date out. I agree with that, brother. The matron says here, we should not be okay with any other race of people. They are not our friends. They all try to take and pillage from us as Black people. There's enough diversity in the Black world to find a mate. I think that's nothing but a word for that last prompt there. What I like to do now, since when I asked there was no last thoughts, I'd like to actually get to the shout outs portion of the show. I just want to share this really quick before you guys go, just to remind you guys. Hold on a second. Just to remind you guys. Hope I have the right one. Yeah. About this book that our very own Afro Native World in the Chat was a part of. I got a copy of it last week. I haven't finished going through it yet because I had all that stuff going on where I had to leave the country. But please support this special effort. This is from the community tab on the Bitter Medicine podcast page on YouTube. The book is called The Watoto, Born in the New Free Community. So that's my shout out for this week. Make sure go and check out that book. If not for you, for your children. And then come back and let us know. I plan to do a book review, by the way, Afro Native World. I'm going to probably reach out to you, see if I can get all the authors and the illustrator together to talk about it some. So look out for me reaching out to you for that. Afro Native World also mentioned doing movie reviews. And I know Buana just hit me up about the movie Sinners. I haven't seen it yet. I'm supposed to go see it tomorrow. We'll see. But if I see it tomorrow, I'll definitely link up with Buana, maybe Azuli, and we could do a review on that. So that's my 2 shout outs for the week. Shout out to all of you, though, in general. With that said, let me get shout outs from Jacadero. What say you this week?
2 shout outs first. Shout out to, since we were on the topic, shout out to just Black women in general, man. It's awesome. Just like any other guy, you know, when you're in your 20s, you're not having the best time with ladies. And for those that don't know, I'm rocking a bald look now, but I used to have locks. So just a little story. I went to me and my boys went out to a bar when I had my starter locks, and a Black woman, you know, she rejected me, and she rejected me in such a way that, you know, now it's funny. At the time, it wasn't funny. You know, she said, "You burnt Cheeto head looking ass, get away from me." And but it's that, you know, that had caused me to just, you know, look at myself and be like, you know, what do I got to do to get better results? And also that never deterred me from saying, like, you know, I'm not gonna approach any Black woman anymore. In fact, I was like, hey, I'm gonna make sure that you gonna see me in a better light. So shout out to Black women. 2, shout out to Omaha, Nebraska, home of the Empowerment Network that puts on the Rebuilding a Village Conference. That's right, the Rebuilding a Village Conference. It's this year, Friday, May 16th, 2025. Once again, that's Friday, May 16th, 2025. What is the Rebuilding a Village Conference? It's in the name. It's rebuilding a village. It's not an ordinary conference. It's all about strategy and collective action towards you, the Black community. We partner with cities, not only just here in Omaha, but Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, New Orleans, Louisiana, Lansing, Michigan, Syracuse, Atlanta, Durham. I mean, the list just goes on. And not only just finance, tech, but real estate, the trades, electrical, HVAC, and everything in between. I'm begging you guys, and I don't beg, but I beg you guys, if you guys have the time, please register. And I'm inviting you guys to come to Omaha, Nebraska, the home of Malcolm X, where we have the only Malcolm X Center in the United States dedicated to him. We were the group to put him and introduce him to the Nebraska All-Star Hall of Fame last year in 2024. Nonetheless, please go out and register at empoweromaha.com for the Rebuilding a Village Conference. Looking forward to seeing each and every one of you guys if you guys have the time and the resources here at Omaha, Nebraska.
Well done there, Jacadero. Good stuff. Jacadero, thanks for the MP3 of the recording I asked for some people to do for me. For those of you, if I sent it to you, record that for me so that we can get that out there. And if I haven't, and you want to do the recording, just hit me up a DM on Discord, and I'll get the script to you. I appreciate it. With that said, Anthony, what would you like to shout out this week?
Okay, yeah, man. Shout out to the brother Jacadero and Empower Omaha, to your organization, man. No, shout out to Koku, man. You know, prayers for you and the family, man. Hope your father make a speedy recovery. You know, a shout out to the sisters, to the matron and to Cheryl, to Buana, and a special shout out, man, to the black world, man. How everybody is standing up to put their arms around President Traore, man, Ibrahim Traore, man. You know, I think it's on the 30th. I think it's supposed to be this big movement, this big mass movement, like a march or something, man. You know, color symbolism, but you know, it's black people all over the world standing up together, man, for Traore, saying hands off Burkina Faso, hands off Traore. Y'all ain't gonna do that same shit no more. So it's gonna be a problem, man. And anyway, shout out to the show, man.
Good stuff, Anthony. Good shout out there. Thank you very much for that too. Buana, last but not least, what would you like to shout out this week?
Yeah. The first thing I wanted to shout out is Jacadero. Jacadero made some comments earlier in reference to him having a hard time with dating. And the only thing I would say to him is, when you go to these ladies, you know, tell them that you from Zamunda. Tell them you like the, yeah, you know, you're a relative of Zamunda. Oh no, no. It's 19 that. So tell him say Ibrahim Traore. Do you have to do this in an African accent?
I got you.
Tell him Ibrahim Traore is your cousin.
Okay. You know what? I've never thought about that. I got you.
You gotta do it in an African accent.
We'll try.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Lastly, this is a serious matter. There is a sister from the Bahamas. She is the first Bahamian lady in space. Her name is Aisha Bo. You know, when I saw that, I was very happy about it because she flashed the Bahamian flag as she was riding up on I forget the name of the spacecraft. But she is actually like the second Caribbean woman. I think the first Caribbean woman who went to space was Antiguan. So she is the second Caribbean woman to ever go off into space. You know, I think there are several Black American women who have actually went into space. But shout out to her for making that first stride for the country, you know, because that's phenomenal. And she's like some kind of tech entrepreneur engineer. And the fact that she's had the ability to do that is the first for the country. So I would say shout out to Aisha Bo, and also shout out to the people of Burkina Faso and the Black world for surrounding the sister, you know. So no, the brother Traore, shout out to him because he's doing a phenomenal job. The fact that citizens are sleeping in the street to ensure his safety, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes because you would never see that. So obviously, if the people of the country hold Traore in such high honor, you know, so should we. You know, so should we. So shout out to the Black world for getting behind the brother because they see what he's actually doing, and they want to protect that because that should be protected. Also, shout out to Jacadero as well. Like I say, I am going to contribute. I forgot. This is so many things I forgot this week because I was supposed to do a recording for Coco as well. But these things sometimes get past me. But shout out to Jacadero for doing this thing in Nebraska. And I will get that information to you, Coco. It just went past me for this week. But shout out to all the brothers who contributed tonight. Anthony, Jacadero, Black Steel, he was listening. He just didn't get a chance to come on. And all the sisters, the sisters who came on, Cheryl and all the sisters who've been listening in the chat as well. Thank you so much for your contributions as well. So I'll leave it there, Koku.
Yeah, man, you guys did a real good job with the shout out tonight. Trigger Happy also echoes the sentiment. Shout out to Ibrahim Traore and the energy of our people, man. I think that's a good place to start. I should be back next week, but as you guys know, I'm dealing with a situation with family and health and all that. So who knows what will come up, but the plan is to be here next week, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope to see you guys here as well, man. This was great for me personally to come here tonight, speak with you guys, laugh a little, talk some analyses that promotes Black consciousness, Black power. So it was great, and I thank you all for the well wishes as well. We'll be back next week. Until then, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.